Chapter 901. Shuiyin and Hongwan having a baby was a big deal for Zhang Xiaobao and Wangwan. It was no less important than a pregnant woman giving birth to a baby. The smart Shuiyin didn't look for a cliff or stay in Jili province. Instead, it brought its wife, Hongwan, to the capital city of Chang, and to ask for help from its master. Moreover, it decided on Zhang Xiaobao and Wangwan. It didn't know how it figured it out, but it knew that in this house, two people's words were the most effective. When Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Ying were discussing what kind of house to build, it flew to the eaves in front of them, watching and listening. Zhang Xiaobao looked up at Shuiyin. He didn't care about how it flew over the cloth curtain. He believed that Shuiyin, who could cooperate with people, had the ability to shuttle at low altitude. What he needed to consider now was what kind of house to build for Shuiyin and Hongwan, and how high it should be. Where should we choose? The East Market and the West Market can't do. It's too noisy. Xingqing Palace? Then Lilongji will have to go there. Hibiscus Garden? There are songs and music. This kind of music doesn't seem to be suitable for prenatal education, right? Zhang Xiaobao grumbled, but he still couldn't make up his mind. Not only were Zhang Ying and Wang Wan anxious, even Shui Yin on the eaves was impatient. She called out twice, as if urging him to make a decision. I know you love your wife just like me. Don't worry. Even if the East Market and the West Market stop, I'll build a good house for you. At most, I'll pay to move one of the East Market and the West Market. We have money. For the sake of your baby, I'll go all out. I don't believe that I can't build a decent house. Zhang Xiaobao said to Shuiyin boldly. Surprisingly, Shuiyin nodded, which made Zhang Xiaobao open his mouth in surprise. Okay, with your nod, even if you take your wife to Hanyuan Palace to lay eggs, I'll help you ruin the morning court. Don't talk nonsense. Do you think you're human? You want to go to Hanyuan Palace Hall? Aren't you afraid that Shuiyin's family will be cooked and eaten? Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. What's wrong with going to Hanyuan Palace Hall? Do you know how many contributions Shuiyin has made? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he's the #1 eagle of the Great Tang. Let's go to the artificial lake and build a 10-jong tall house. When the little eagles learn to fly, we can lay a cushion in the lake or arrange for people to rescue them. Our little eagles are a little stupid at first, so we don't have to worry about that. We can try again and again, and eventually they will learn to fly. It's settled then. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he suddenly thought of a good place, the artificial saltwater lake that he had prepared for Lilongji. Thinking that it was a good idea, he waved his hand at Shuiyin, who was waiting for him. Let's go. Work on the artificial lake. You go and scout ahead. With a confused look in her eyes, Shuiyin flapped her wings and prepared to land on Zhang Xiaobao. Wait! Zhang Xiaobao shouted. He took the leather cushion from Zhang Xiaobao's body and put it on his shoulder. He snapped his fingers and waved his hand again. Come up. Kill the chicken. Don't mock the Japanese. What nonsense are you talking about? Wang Wan smiled and patted Zhang Xiaobao twice. Shuiyin didn't care about anything else. She spread her wings and made a short hover in the air before landing on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder. She tilted her head and looked away from Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't have time to rest. They galloped straight for the lake. In the distance behind them, there was a group of people with various tools. Such a trip naturally couldn't be hidden from the spies who had been paying attention to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Therefore, those who heard the news were curious, and there were many who went to investigate. There were even businessmen who thought that Zhang Xiaobao had thought of something to make money again. After asking, they hurriedly chased after him, wanting to get involved. Even Takeshita Junichiro, who had lost something, didn't have time to continue looking for the letter that he didn't know where it was. He casually packed up and also headed in the direction that Zhang Xiaobao and the others might have gone. The person who paid the most attention to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan was naturally Lilongji. When he heard the news, he didn't think that the two were bored enough to ride horses on the street. He directly ordered people to inquire about the reason. When he found out that Shuiyin, who had made great contributions on the battlefield in Tubo, and the equally rare Big Red Eagle, were raising children, Lilongji couldn't sit still anymore. I have heard that Shuiyin is a sentient creature. Since it chose the Red Luan, I think that the red one wouldn't be too bad. The eagle-born of the two wouldn't be any weaker than Shuiyin. Strong men, draft an imperial decree. Shuiyin has made great contributions, but it doesn't deserve any rewards. It is to my liking. Therefore, I confer Shuiyin the title of Sky Blue General of our dynasty. Li Longji thought about it, and then instructed Gao Lishur. Your Majesty, our dynasty has a Sky Blue General? Gao Lishur had never heard of this name and asked in surprise. Isn't that Shuiyin? Oh, there's also the Red Luan. Confer a title of 5th rank noble lady. Bestow 100 live lambs. Bestow 100 calves. Bestow them on farmland. Bestow 20 deer and 1,000 chickens to feed the chicks. In order to have a chance to get 2 chicks, Li Longji casually gave an official title of none. He didn't care whether Shuiyin could wear the silver fish pouch or not. When Gao Lishur heard this absurd conferment, he didn't know how to respond. He hesitated for a long time until Li Longji was a little impatient. Only then did he say, Your Majesty, I'm afraid that some officials won't accept such a conferment. Shuiyin is a beast. It won't be good if the officials object. What's wrong with a beast? A beast can look down on a flock of eagles in the sky of Tubo. A beast can discover the enemy first. A beast can transmit information back and forth accurately. A beast is also loyal and devoted. In my opinion, this kind of beast is better than many people. It's strange. Why do all the good things go to their home? I've already made up my mind. If there's anyone who isn't convinced, fly to the snow mountain for me to take a look. Go, send soldiers to take turns guarding Shuiyin and the Red Luan's nests. Don't allow others to approach, and don't allow anyone to bring crossbows over. Li Longji was very fond of Shuiyin. If it weren't for the fact that it belonged to the Zhang family and the Wang family, and that this kind of eagle had its own pride, he would have used all kinds of methods to get it to play with. Now that he had a chance to get its children, if he didn't act now, it would be too late to regret it in the future. Gao Lishur thought about Shuiyin's contributions, and then considered the fact that it was his godsons. In the end he agreed. Yes, this subject will arrange it right away. However, this subject has heard that there won't be many left in a nest of eagles. This subject is afraid that Xiaobao won't allow it. Ask Xiaobao about this. Others may not have a solution, but Xiaobao will definitely be able to come up with an idea. I don't believe that he won't make any arrangements. Li Longji cleverly pushed the problem to Zhang Xiaobao. When Zhang Xiaobao arrived at the lakeside and began to ask people to set up the framework, the people who were paying attention to him finally figured out what he was going to do. Some people left in disappointment, while others were calculating whether they could get an eagle to hunt. The members of the imperial clan who hadn't found a chance to sabotage also sent letters one after another, wanting to gather together to discuss whether they should kill Shuiyin and the Red Luan to deal a blow to Zhang Xiaobao. However, before they could finish transmitting the news, an imperial edict from the palace shocked them. A feathered beast was actually conferred the title of a 5th-rank general, and the Red Luan was conferred the title of a noble lady. Could it be that killing an eagle was the same crime as killing an official? Look, Shuiyin, look, I've conferred you the title of an official. You and the Red Luan have to work hard and give birth to 180 children. I'll help you raise them. Isn't that a good idea? Zhang Xiaobao took the imperial edict sent by Li Longji and told Shuiyin. According to tradition, Li Longji wasn't given an official's robe, nor was he given a silver fish pouch. However, sheep and deer could be given one. At this time, the framework built for Shuiyin and the Red Luan was already 5 zhang tall. Zhang Xiaobao gestured and asked. Shuiyin didn't know what an official was, but she understood what Zhang Xiaobao meant by the height problem. She tilted her head to take a look, then turned her head away and didn't look anymore. Zhang Xiaobao was good at psychology, but he couldn't guess what Shuiyin was thinking. After pondering for a while, he tentatively asked, Short? Yes, it's a little short, and it's easy for people to touch it. Let's make it taller. Add another 2 zhang. Don't move the wood anymore. It's too thin. After Zhang Xiaobao finished talking to Shuiyin, he continued to order the construction workers to work. The wood was put up one by one, and carts of wood were transported. Because the height was too high, they built it in the shape of a pyramid. At this time, the hot air balloon in the sky came in handy. Soon, the height of 5 zhang became 7 zhang. Wang Wan rushed to ask Shuiyin, "Look, is it enough now?" Shuiyin looked again and still turned her head. "Continue to build it higher." In order for the baby eagle to be born smoothly, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about this little bit of wood. "Young Master Zhang, congratulations, congratulations. The eagle in our family is going to have an heir." Because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't ask anyone to stop others from coming over, they were relatively lax at the scene. A person dressed like a businessman came up to congratulate them. The so-called businessman's outfit was that there was an extra pocket on the chest area of the clothes, which was used to put fountain pens. Because there was no plastic, it was very troublesome to make, so the fountain pens were very expensive. Usually, Xiaobei and the others would bring them for temporary writing and drawing when the pencil was broken and hard to sharpen. No one knew who saw it first, but they insisted on buying it from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Regardless of whether they knew how to use it or not, having a fountain pen was a symbol of status. It was said to be used for bookkeeping, so it became a professional outfit for businessmen. Zhang Xiaobao was indeed looking forward to it. Seeing someone say good things, he hurriedly looked at him and also cupped his fists in return. Thank you, thank you. May I know what's your position?" "Young Master Zhang, you must be joking. It's just a small business to make a living. I run a Shannon fur trading company. I collect some furs, tanning, processing, and sell them." The businessman's voice was very soft, as if he was afraid of being looked down upon. Zhang Xiaobao pondered for a moment and said, "Shannon Huxiao for Manufacturing and Marketing Group, right? So you're young Master Fong?" "Young Master Fong, you're too modest. In the first quarter of this spring, your group paid 6 million yuan in taxes. If you think the business is too small, then there's no such thing as a big business in the world." The businessman was shocked by Zhang Xiaobao's words and looked at Zhang Xiaobao in surprise, as if wondering how Zhang Xiaobao knew so much. Chapter 902. When the businessman surnamed Fong heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, his first reaction was not to ask Zhang Xiaobao, but to look around nervously. Seeing that there were no outsiders nearby, he lowered his voice and said, "Young Master Zhang, do you have time later? I would like to invite young Master Zhang and his wife to eat something in a secluded place." Looking at the other party's overreaction, Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei shook their head. "I don't have time. I still have to build a house for Shui Yin and her husband, so I'll skip the meal. Do you want to make money?" "Yes, very much. Young Master Zhang is busy and takes care of a lot of things every day, but there are too many people around. If someone with bad intentions knows, then?" Fang Dongjia was clear in his heart. Although Zhang Xiaobao just praised him for paying a lot of taxes and said that his Shannon Tiger Skin Manufacturing and Marketing Group was big, but compared to other people's business, it was not enough. What was 6 million? It was only 60,000 strings of cash. How big could the group be? The taxes that other people paid in a quarter could buy several groups of his own. It was very difficult to invite Zhang Xiaobao to eat a meal. It was not enough to just have a little money. There were many people richer than him. If he invited all of them, Zhang Xiaobao would not need to do anything else but accompany him to eat every day. But Fang Dongjia did not want to share with others, so it was very difficult for him. Zhang Xiaobao sighed and said to Fang Dongjia, "Fang Dongjia, you can't eat by yourself. After listening today, if you have any friends in the business world, you can contact them. Don't worry, I won't lie to you." "Ah, big business?" Fang Dongjia was stunned, then suddenly understood. Yes, unless young Master Zhang doesn't do it, it will naturally not be a small business. "Young Master Zhang, don't misunderstand. I didn't say that you lied to me. I still know you. My business is not harmful, and you won't attack me. Can you tell me in detail?" Fang Dongjia couldn't imagine how big of a storm Zhang Xiaobao would stir up this time. The only thing he knew was that Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't make a move against him. He still understood Zhang Xiaobao's style of doing things very well. Whether it was a merchant of the Great Tang or an outsider, as long as they did business in the Great Tang, it was fine to buy at a low price and sell at a high price. It was also fine if there was a shortage of goods in a place that were not for the livelihood of the people, but it was forbidden to deliberately interfere. If one didn't speculate in goods related to the livelihood of the people, he wouldn't care. But if one really did, one could only wait to go bankrupt. Some people hated him, some loved him. They hated him for being a busybody, but they loved him for having a high moral character. There were even more worshippers who worshipped him as a godlike existence in the business world. Thinking of this, Fang Dongjia recalled what he had done, and found that he had not crossed Zhang Xiaobao's bottom line. Thus, he was not afraid. He just wanted to know how much money he had invested and how much he had earned. As the two of them approached each other and whispered, the gazes of those who were slightly further away immediately swept over. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao, they couldn't see anything, but seeing Fang Dongjia's expression, they knew that something good had happened. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care if others could hear them. It was best if more people were eavesdropping, whether it was a friendly party or someone who secretly wanted to deal with him. It didn't matter. He wasn't afraid that someone would do something bad. Whoever dared to do it would come. Thus, Zhang Xiaobao's voice was slightly louder, but the penetrating power was stronger. Fang Dongjia, do you know that there is an island in the Great Tang that is sought by famous people? I know. Is my leather goods seller going to sell there? Fang Dongjia didn't understand. You can buy furs on the island. Besides animal furs, there is also fish furs. You can also directly invest money in it. After a year, when there is a profit, contact your friends and cooperate with them. It is guaranteed that you will make a profit and not lose money. If I wasn't worried about causing too much of a stir, I would just give a call, and the merchants of the Great Tang would probably start fighting. Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the east where there was a sea and said to Fang Dongjia. Fang Dongjia heard Zhang Xiaobao's voice and was secretly distressed. The people nearby must have heard it. For a moment, he was anxious and helpless. Young Master Zhang, how much is it? The initial investment is 5 million strings of cash. Can Fang Dongjia handle it alone? Zhang Xiaobao emphasized the 5 million strings of cash. When the people nearby heard this, their eyes widened at almost the same time. Takeshita Junichiro, who had just arrived, also pricked up his ears. What a large amount. Just the initial investment was 5 million strings of cash. Fang Dongjia shook his head vigorously. I can't handle it, but I can find someone to raise it. Can young Master Zhang tell me more about it? I can't. There are too many details. If you believe me, take the money. If you don't, stay away. Zhang Xiaobao showed an unhappy expression. He turned his head to look at the house built for Shui Yun and her husband. The house was being built to a height of 10 zhang. He didn't know what height Shui Yun had in mind. I believe you. I'll go find someone to discuss it. If the money isn't enough, young Master Zhang, when you find someone else, you must bring me along. Fang Dongjia knew that he had misspoken. After explaining, he didn't dare to disturb Zhang Xiaobao. He lowered his head and walked out in large strides. Takeshita Junichiro looked at Zhang Xiaobao, and then glanced at the house. After a moment of consideration, he chased after Fang Dongjia. Zhang Xiaobao glanced sideways at Takeshita Junichiro's back and shook his head. He said to Wang Wan, who was looking over, I thought it would take a lot of effort. I was worried about how to get him to fall into the trap. I didn't expect him to come in by himself. You won't blame me, right? Is there a difference? Your purpose is to get him in. Whether he takes the initiative or not. Don't act so innocent while scheming. Shui Yin, is that okay? Wang Wan said a few words to Zhang Xiaobao with a smile. She turned around and asked Shui Yun, who was waiting for her new home. Shui Yun didn't answer directly. Instead, she flapped her wings and gradually flew away. After a while, 2 different eagle cries came from the sky. The Shui Yun couple, one red and one white, appeared under the cloth of the hot air balloon. They circled around the shelf a few times and both landed in front of Zhang Xiaobao. Shui Yun nodded. Oh, I understand. Zhang Xiaobao also nodded. Shui Yun, I don't want to criticize you, but it's wrong to be afraid of your wife. Is the height of the house enough? Can't you just say a word? You have to discuss it with your wife. It's too embarrassing for a man. You must have the final say on important matters. You can't be spoiled. Shui Yun was fine with simple words, but after Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, Shui Yun was confused. I love to hear my husband's words the most, husband. Tell this concubine, what is a big matter? Wang Wan, who was at the side, held Xiaobao's arm and asked in a sweet voice. The important matter is when I let the second son come out. Okay, this is the height. Reinforce the bottom. Don't let the wind blow it down and hurt the children. I'll only ask you. Zhang Xiaobao puffed out his chest and answered Wang Wan boldly. Then he directed the construction team again. After he was done talking about the construction team, Zhang Xiaobao turned to Shui Yin and said, Ask your wife what kind of straw to use as a nest. If she thinks straw is hard, then there's also cotton. Someone bring all the things we prepared here, and let Shui Yin choose. Chapter 903. Under the attention of countless people, Shui Yin and her husband's home was repaired. Among the materials provided, Shui Yin chose a portion of cotton, a portion of straw, and even more than a dozen hard dry branches. After busying herself with Hong Wan for a little less than an hour, the soft bed was finally completed. Just when everyone thought that everything was over, Shui Yin flew away alone. After a while, she returned with a piece of cement in her mouth. Nobody knew where she got it from. She threw it at Zhang Xiaobao's feet and let out a long cry. Fortunately, it was Zhang Xiaobao. If it were an ordinary person, they wouldn't know what Shui Yin wanted to do. Wang Wan was more puzzled. Shui Yin wants to build a depression with cement around the nest, just like the gap on the cliff. The two sides can block the wind and the top can block the rain, Zhang Xiaobao said. The people in charge of the surrounding construction were surprised by Shui Yin's intelligence. Without further instructions, they hurriedly fetched the cement, climbed up the 10-feet-high shelf, and began to build a simulated cliff for the Shui Yin couple. When everything was ready, the cement was dry, and Shui Yin moved in. Wang Wan was a little worried. Xiaobao, do you think there will be people who can't hurt us and will target Shui Yin? Usually, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao paid the most attention to safety and protection. One was always counted and the other was specialized in this. They were never willing to leave a loophole that could be used by the enemy. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. I think it's possible. It's hard to guess people's thoughts of revenge. Some people are very careless. If they can't take revenge on the person themselves, they will take action around the person. They won't even let go of a dog. As long as they can find a chance to attack the other party, they will take action. Then why don't you think of a way? If anything happens to Shui Yin, we won't just lose an eagle. At that time, even if we cut the enemy into pieces, we won't be able to exchange for a life. We can stop guns, but what about crossbows? Wang Wan had long stopped treating Shui Yin as an animal. Just like Furry, the big goose she raised, she treated it as a part of the family. Firstly, animals with high intelligence were indeed cute. Secondly, it was to show the other farmers and servants that the master was good. If she could treat animals like this, how could she treat humans? Zhang Xiaobao was not in a hurry. He picked up a small stone the size of a thumbnail and threw it into the lake. Looking at the ripples, he said, How far can a crossbow shoot? This rack is built very well. Some parts of the wood are thick while others are thin. Have you ever seen a magic trick? What magic trick? Wang Wan clearly knew that Zhang Xiaobao was using the method of asking questions to guide her. To be precise, he was showing off his knowledge, but she still cooperated with him and asked a question. It's to put a person performing a magic trick in a place that looks very narrow and difficult to hide in. Then, the magician can disappear in front of other people's eyes. Zhang Xiaobao opened his arms and made a gesture commonly used by magicians. However, he was not wearing a large black robe, so he looked a little out of place. Wang Wan nodded cooperatively. With a blank look in her eyes, she replied, I've seen it before. What's wrong? It's very magical. Xiaobao, do you know how to do it? Tell me, I've always wanted to understand the principle behind it. Zhang Xiaobao immediately became depressed. Wang Wan's words were too fake. He bowed his head in resignation. Wifey, thank you. You know how to take care of my face. What I meant was to use the error of visual angle to put people on the rack. No matter how far a crossbow's attack range is, it's not as far as our sniper rifle. I'll just have to inconvenience Shui Yin and her husband. Let them be the bait and give the people who want to deal with us a chance. Shui Yin is now a general. No matter whether she's an eagle or a man, she's still an official of the imperial court. As long as someone comes within a certain distance and wants to do something unfavorable to Shuiyun, we'll take action in advance. What if it's someone from the imperial family? Wang Wan didn't play dumb this time. She walked around the rack and looked around as she asked. It's the same. As long as they don't give notice in advance, no one can come. Except for Li Longji and my godfather. When something really happens, we'll have Shuiyun go to the palace to fight the local court, and let our wise His Majesty the Emperor preside over justice. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. I reckon Shuiyun won't be able to win even once. She can't speak the human language. Won't the other party's mouth be whatever they say? Don't you think so? You're too bad. You send people to make a move, and then have Shuiyun do it. She won't be able to say anything, but it's precisely because she can't speak that the other party is depressed. Just like Xiaobei and the others, if they really do catch an official and bring him to the palace, even if the other party has no problems, they'll still be taught a lesson. Between the words of a child and the words of an adult, there's no need to ask which is more trustworthy. Even if Li Longji clearly knows that Xiaobei and the others are lying, he'll still teach that official a lesson even if he doesn't give us face. Why is it that other people aren't caught, but you're being targeted by a group of children? You can't even solve a child's problem, so what can you do? Wang Wan imagined that one day, Shuiyun and her husband would really go to Xingqing Palace to confront the other party. She couldn't help but want to laugh. It was really too difficult to understand the principles of this world. At the mention of Xiaobei, a gratified smile appeared on Zhang Xiaobao's face. The railway was about to be completed. His younger brothers and sisters went there to help every day. They sang songs and danced for the people who worked for free and only ate a meal. Their popularity was getting better and better. Xiaobei wrote a memorial yesterday. Did you see it? Zhang Xiaobao asked. I saw it. I don't know why this little girl is so smart. She said that she's waiting for the railway to be completed, and invited the people of the capital to take it for free. She's not willing to spend the money she earned to buy tickets and insists that we bear the cost. I don't know why she needs so much money. I heard from the person who takes care of her that she took all of Xiaohai and the others' money. In total, it should be 10,000 string of cash, right? Wang Wan followed. That's right. They usually do their homework well, and help with the household chores. Add to that the reward given to them by those truly outrageous officials. It should be more than 11,000 strings of cash. It's not a small amount. Don't worry too much about this matter. Let her do it. Even if she makes a mistake, it's fine. We'll help clean up the mess. Zhang Xiaobao didn't deliberately remember how much money his younger brothers and sisters had. It was just a professional habit. Okay, let's not care. Let's go and take a look at the railway that's been completed. The Great Tang's railway has a long way to go. Xiaobao, those two people don't seem to be looking at us right now. Chapter 904. After hearing Wang Wan's words, Zhang Xiaobao nodded his head slightly, indicating that he understood. He did not turn his head to look at the two people. Xiaobao, what do you think the two of them want to do? They have been watching us for a long time. Do they still dare to do anything to us? Wang Wan did not look at the two of them, afraid that they would be alerted. She hugged Zhang Xiaobao's arm and spoke intimately. They look like thieves. I noticed them long ago. That look in their eyes is very familiar. Zhang Xiaobao was also a little puzzled. Logically speaking, his and Wang Wan's identities were known by many people. As long as the two of them did not deliberately disguise themselves, at least 2 out of 10 people walking on the streets of Chang and would be able to recognize them. The two of them were pretending to be innocent. No matter how one looked at it, they had something to do. Since that was the case, they must be locals. Even if they came from outside, they would first understand the local situation. Could it be that they were tired of living? Did they want to test the consequences of stealing the provincial governor? After Zhang Xiaobao said that, Wang Wan glanced at the two of them again, and found that it was indeed so. When she carried Zhang Xiaobao and continued to walk, she said, "You are with them. Why didn't they come over? Don't slander them. Why don't you say that you are with them? Let's go and look at our railway. Ignore them. We will know who they are later. I hope that they really have a motive for us. It would be best if there is a very mysterious organization behind them. Zhang Xiaobao did not care that there were people watching them. When the two of them were watching them, there were also people watching the two of them. When the time came, they would follow and find the clues. You want to clear your name when you just made a move not long ago? In the Tang Empire, why haven't I seen such mysterious things? I feel that the two of us are already mysterious enough. Do you think the train will be like the first train at that time, very, very slow? It will make people feel that it is much worse than a horse. Wang Wan leaned closer to Zhang Xiaobao. When she talked about the mysterious relationship between her and Zhang Xiaobao, her eyes were a little blank, as if she was reminiscing, but also as if she had forgotten. Zhang Xiaobao was also stunned, then sighed. Previous life? That's right. Past life and present life. Could it be that one glance in the past life was all for the sake of meeting in this life? Wang Wan rested her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder and sang a few lines, which confused Zhang Xiaobao. When was this song released? It's passable. More than 100 years ago. Oh, more than 1,000 years later. You're singing a song that's been there for so long? It's old. Oh, wrong. You even sang such a popular song. There's no such tune now. Anyway, that's how it is. Zhang Xiaobao, who had never heard this song before, did not know how to time it. Is Guoga old? When it's time to sing, it still has to be sung. Is Spring River Flower Moon old? That's classical. Didn't so many people use the flute to play the Three Plum Blossoms? Is Steam Engine Train old? When the people of today and the people of our time see it, I believe they will find it fresh. Wang Wan was in a good mood, so she debated with Zhang Xiaobao for a while. Zhang Xiaobao was enlightened. He smiled and said, "Yes, it's too philosophical. Steam engine train is very attractive no matter where we are, especially when it can move." It was early autumn. There was less than a month before the fall quarter examinations. Many people gathered on both sides of the tracks that had been laid out outside the capital. The locals, the merchants who came and went, the officials who stayed behind in the spring, or the students who didn't pass the examinations but wanted to continue, plus the scholars who came from other places after hearing the news of the autumn examination. They all came to see what the train was. Today's weather was good. There was no scorching sun, and there was no sign of rain. It was just a cloudy day. There was a slight breeze blowing, making people feel cool. Before the train appeared, the people waiting began to talk, especially those who were here to participate in the fall quarter examinations. They were not familiar with this place, so they gathered in groups of 3 to 5 with the locals who had come with them and asked them for information. In the end, what these people heard the most was not the train that was about to appear, but the 10 days of free banquets and the shocking scene on the first day. You didn't see it that day. Let me tell you. Aya flying in the sky, swimming in the water, running on the ground, jumping in the grass. That guy. Go to the mutton soup restaurant in Shi City. You'll hear more details. A waiter who worked in a small shop in the capital had also asked for leave today to join in the fun. While chatting with others, he did not forget to advertise the shop he worked for. The only thing that was lacking was that there was a slight discrepancy between the truth and the truth. He had used an exaggerating method. The people who came to participate in the fall quarter examinations knew that this person was not telling the truth, but they did not expose him. They allowed him to speak, and they could hear more from him. Do you think that I'm lying? This waiter was good at reading people's expressions. He knew a thing or two from the expressions of the people listening to him. A few outsiders, the leader in the middle, smiled and said, "I do. After we see this thing called the train, we'll go to the mutton soup restaurant. Is there anything else interesting?" "Hey, really? Then when I serve the food, I'll ask the kitchen to give you a bigger serving." Let me tell you, our mutton soup restaurant does not only serve mutton soup. If you want to eat thin, we have thin, dry, and sesame seed cakes. This sesame seed cake. Oh, tell me something interesting. Okay. The waiter did not forget to advertise his shop. If Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw this, they would definitely pull him into their shop. He was a good worker. The people waiting were getting impatient. The waiter changed the topic and whispered, "Let me tell you, don't spread it. You must be here to participate in the fall quarter examinations, right? It seems that you are quite knowledgeable, but don't think about becoming the top scorer. Why? The leader had an inquisitive expression. Do you still need to ask? It's already been decided by someone. According to the news from inside, no matter who comes and how many people come, the top scorer's position will not change. If you have any connections, you should quickly go and see if you can get another position. Let me tell you, even if you can't find any connections, don't be afraid. My mutton soup restaurant often has people of high status going there. When the time comes, right? As if he was afraid of being overheard, the waiter looked around nervously. Then he lowered his voice and whispered the secret to them. I wonder who is so capable. How could the top scorer be decided? Chapter 905. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arrived at the railway and waited for the first train to move, they heard various voices coming from the crowd. After Wang Wan heard it, she did not think it was a coincidence. The people who should be talking about the train were actually talking about the upcoming autumn examinations. This was definitely not normal. She frowned and listened carefully for a while. Then she said to Zhang Xiaobao, "It seems that some people don't want us to properly participate in the examinations." Yes, they have nothing to do. They have to find something to do to feel that life is not monotonous. They are also very noble. It's not easy. They clearly know that doing such small actions will not have much of an effect on us, but they still insist on doing it. Their goal is to make us worry every time. What kind of spirit is this? Zhang Xiaobao's lips curled up. He seemed to be very happy, making the slightly depressed Wang Wan burst out laughing. If they hear your words and see your expression, I wonder if they will go crazy. You actually don't show any annoyance at all. I really don't care. I'm not pretending for others to see. Not to mention that this is an era of imperial power. Even in the later era of communism, which commoner can stop the decision of the upper class. If you don't behave, then you will be suppressed. Zhang Xiaobao looked around with a calm expression. Wang Wan was clearly not satisfied with Zhang Xiaobao's evaluation of the regime of a certain era. There are still better things. The past is the past. What do we do now? The imperial examination is a big event. If many people who participate in the examination know that the top scorer has been decided, they might gather together to cause trouble. Do you really plan to suppress them with force? Suppress? Do you think I am such a cold-blooded person? I can't bear to see anyone get hurt. Let's go forward. Don't let people recognize us. That will be troublesome. After all, we are public figures. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to pull down the brim of his hat. He pulled Wang Wan's hand and squeezed into the crowd. Only when they were really in the crowd could they feel the lively atmosphere. Wang Wan also followed suit and pulled down her hat. Slow down. Aren't you cold-blooded? You can't bear to see others get hurt, so you close your eyes to hurt others. I'm asking you for a proper solution. Your attitude is not good. A solution? It's simple. Watch me. Zhang Xiaobao and Weiwei smiled, still looking indifferent. They touched the arm of the person beside them and asked, "Big brother, I want to ask about something. Just now, I heard someone talking about this year's autumn examinations. What's going on?" The person who was touched by Zhang Xiaobao turned his head to look at him. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao smiling very amiably, he also smiled and said in a low voice, "Do you know why there is a spring quarter examination this year, and there will be an autumn quarter examination soon?" "I don't know. Big brother, do you have any inside information?" Zhang Xiaobao cooperated with the pose of an underground gang member, and asked with a twinkle in his eyes. "This is for special people." "Special people? Who was so special?" "I refuse to accept this," Zhang Xiaobao said indignantly. "There are many people who refuse to accept this, but we don't know who it is. Maybe it won't take long to find out. Don't tell others. If you get caught, don't blame me." This person pointed to the sky mysteriously and even trembled, indicating that it was very dangerous. Zhang Xiaobao nodded repeatedly. "Yes, I won't say. When it comes out of your mouth, it enters my ears. No one else can hear it. Has the top scorer been arranged?" "What top scorer?" "The other positions have also been arranged." This year's autumn quarter examination is a scam. This person's mouth was almost reaching his ears, and he didn't hide his disdain at all. Zhang Xiaobao also followed this person's words. He gritted his teeth, rolled his eyes and said, "Big brother, when I squeezed my way over, I heard that this year's top scorer was given to Zhang Xiaobao. His father is a minister in the Ministry of Works, and his hometown is Zhangjia Zhuangzi in Sanshui County. That little brat is not even 20 years old. How can he be the top scorer? If it's him, I've decided not to stay in Tang. I'll pack up and go somewhere else." "Oh, this brother, don't blame me. I'm a straightforward person. I'll say whatever comes to my mind. Don't listen to other people's nonsense. If it was really given to Zhang Xiaobao, then it would be fine. Brother, I'm not trying to lecture you, but you should learn more and think more." This person directly scolded Zhang Xiaobao. Perhaps he felt that it was a little inappropriate, so he explained himself and changed his tone to that of a teacher. "Yes, big brother is right. Think more, but what are you thinking about?" Zhang Xiaobao turned his head to look at Wang Wan and winked at Wang Wan. He meant to say, "Look, isn't big brother awesome? I have supporters." Wang Wan pursed her lips and laughed softly, indicating for Zhang Xiaobao to continue. "Don't know what to think. Let me ask you, what is the purpose of the imperial examinations?" This person puffed out his chest and acted like a teacher. "Purpose? Of course it's to become an official. There needs to be an official in the imperial court." "That's right. What does an official do? Govern the place, don't you think so?" This person continued to follow Zhang Xiaobao's words. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. "Yes, and then? Then it's to let the people live a good life. You look like someone with some knowledge. Why don't you understand? Our Xiaobao and Cuckoo are already governing the place, and they are doing very well. No matter where they are, the people there will live a good life. Do you understand? Our Xiaobao and Cuckoo are already good officials. They are not the top scorer because they don't have the time to take the examinations. If they take the examinations, they will pass every examination. It would be strange if Xiaobao, who can govern the place so well, did not become the top scorer." This person kept mentioning our Xiaobao and Cuckoo. His words were so intimate that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned. They looked at each other and saw a hint of moisture and determination in each other's eyes. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a moment and said to this person, "Big brother, if Xiaobao and Cuckoo hear your words, they will be very happy. Maybe they will really participate in the autumn examinations this year to be fair. Why don't we find someone to let the people in the imperial court know that it is only fair if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan participate this year?" I don't think Wang Wan can do it. She is a woman." "So what if she is? How many men in Tang dare to say that they are better than her? Our Cuckoo is not inferior to men." You are right. Let them participate in the autumn examinations, and see who dares not to become the top scorer. All right, you stay here first. I will go out and take a walk." After this person finished speaking, he did not know where he was going and squeezed out with all his strength. "You are lying," Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao as she looked in the direction that the person left. "I am not lying. I am really participating in the autumn examinations this year. Everyone says that if the emperor treats me like a country scholar, I will repay him like a country scholar. Since the people think that we are good officials and can let them live a good life, we will work together to make their lives better day by day." Chapter 906. Zhang Xiaobao had not expected the development of the rumors. He had originally planned to use some underhanded means, but now he decided to do something practical. While waiting for the legendary train to appear, the crowd's opinion changed. They had initially questioned the fairness of the fall quarter examinations, but now, they demanded that Zhang Xiaobao participate in the examinations and become the top scorer. Those who did not know the details of the situation cleverly found a good idea. Since the rankings of the fall quarter examinations had already been decided, as long as they pushed Zhang Xiaobao up, they could destroy this scheme. They had to give Zhang Xiaobao the top scorer. Apart from the ordinary people, the ones who liked to add fuel to the fire were the merchants. The merchants did not care about who was first or second in the fall quarter examinations. They only cared about their own status. Now the merchants' status had risen slightly. One reason was because of the support they had received from Zhang Xiaobao's several business operations, and the other reason was because of the resources and money they had contributed to the Chaoyang operation. These caused the merchants' image to change. The only thing they could think of when they heard the people's discussion was that if Zhang Xiaobao really participated in this year's fall quarter examinations and did not become the top scorer, then their status would drop. In the eyes of the scholars, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were a pair of people who valued education. They had proposed the Chaoyang operation for the first time in Baoxing County and had worked hard for it. In the eyes of the people, Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Xiaobao were a pair of capable officials who cared about the suffering of the people. Wherever the two of them went to be officials, the lives of the people were very good. In the eyes of the merchants, Wang Wan was automatically ignored. Zhang Xiaobao had become the god of war, of the business world. As long as he said something, as long as he commanded an operation, there was no need to doubt or hesitate. They would definitely not go wrong. If he did not become the top scorer, then wouldn't that mean that the merchants of Great Tang were even less capable? The little bit of reputation that he had painstakingly built up would go down the drain again, and it was unknown when he would be able to recover it. Therefore, this flag could not fall. Even if he had to use money, he had to push Zhang Xiaobao to the position of top scorer. With this idea in mind, the businessmen were not like the commoners who only knew how to talk. They were afraid that a long night would bring trouble, so they did not care about the train anymore. They squeezed out of the crowd and found a place where they could send telegrams. They sent telegrams to their business partners and discussed how to push Zhang Xiaobao to the top spot when he participated in the fall quarter examinations. Just like that, the atmosphere of what should have been a lively scene of watching the train changed. Li Longji, who was watching the show from the sky in the hot air balloon, was also paying attention to the situation below. From time to time, someone would send him information. However, the events that transpired today were a little out of Li Longji's expectations. At first, everyone was talking about the train, but later on, they were talking about the rankings of this year's fall quarter examinations. When Li Longji first heard this news, he glared at the other people in the hot air balloon accompanying him. Those people were from the Imperial clan, especially those from the Imperial clan who had always been at odds with Zhang Xiaobao and the Wang clan. If Li Longji did not know that they were the ones behind this, he would not be the emperor anymore. Just as he was wondering how to suppress this matter, the direction of the discussions below changed. After hearing the report from the person who received the telegram, Li Longji exhaled. He picked up a glass of wine with ice cubes and took a sip comfortably. He asked Gao Lishir, "Lishir, do you have anything to say?" Gao Lishir was in a good mood when he heard the emperor's question. He pondered for a moment before replying. This subject has noticed that the commoners have become smarter and more daring. They are actually starting to care about the matters of the imperial court. Without knowing the inside story, it is not appropriate for them to recklessly discuss the matters of the imperial court. Is it really not appropriate? Li Longji asked again. This subject is unable to make a judgment at the moment. If I say that it is not appropriate, it is indeed not appropriate. How would the commoners know that the matters of the imperial court are difficult to handle? However, there are also benefits. At the very least, if the local officials want to deceive the commoners into doing something bad, even if the commoners do not say it, they will know in their hearts that it will not be the same as before, where the commoners can only follow the orders of the officials. During this year's spring flood, many officials who were improper in their governance were reported. Coupled with the publicity in the newspapers, the commoners in the affected areas evacuated very quickly. This was unlike in the past, where there were people who would rather die in their homes than leave. This was because they knew that leaving was only temporary. Once the flood subsided, there would be people helping to rebuild. The commoners who were not affected by the disaster were also willing to temporarily accept those who escaped. This is a sign of increased cohesion. This subject believes that His Majesty will start a war and write about the enemy's disrespect to our great Tang in the newspapers. At that time, even if the number of regular soldiers is not enough, we will be able to increase the number of soldiers by 10 million to fight for the country. At this moment, Gao Lisher was not happy that his godson had gained the support of the commoners. He did not purely comment on whether the commoners should become smarter or not. He was analyzing the gains and losses from the perspective of the country. Li Longji did not speak immediately. He narrowed his eyes and leaned back in his chair. After thinking for a while, he smiled and said, I think that as long as no one deliberately sows discord, the commoners are still good people. The more knowledge the commoners have, the harder it will be for others to incite them. Unless, I am so muddle-headed that I should retire, the commoners will not support me. However, it is not easy to be a local official. If he does something wrong, it will be difficult for him to fool the commoners. He can't just lie with his eyes wide open, right? We can learn from the local officials. Luzhou, Buxin County, Xuzhou, and Changning County. They have publicized their income, the things they have to do, and the money they have to spend. If they are not guilty, what is there to be afraid of? Am I right, Lisher? Your Majesty is right. Take Buxin County for example. I've paid attention to it. The new county magistrate has been following the rules and doing things according to the old ways. This year he built a new yamen, and he also built a new one with the money from the yamen. He didn't want to build the yamen himself. The commoners saw that the yamen in the county was too shabby and felt that it would affect the county's image. Therefore, they took the initiative to jointly request the county magistrate to build the yamen. In the past, whenever an official wanted to build a yamen, even if the commoners did not dare to say it openly, they would curse behind their backs. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo once said that the commoners of Tang are the best and most reasonable people. As long as they are not forced into a corner, they will be very obedient. Therefore, before Gao Lisher could finish his sentence, Li Longji finished his sentence with a murderous look on his face. Then he said, if I find out which official is forcing the commoners to their deaths, I'll confiscate his house and let him die a horrible death. After he finished speaking, Li Longji smiled again. He glanced at the other hot air balloons and said, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will participate in the fall examination this year. Even if the two of them want to find an excuse, they won't be able to escape. This is the will of the people, after all. It's time to let the people know that they can't go against the will of the people and behave themselves. Indeed, the people on the hot air balloons behaved themselves. They had also received the news from their subordinates. Initially, they wanted to make a big fuss about it. When the commoners were unhappy and objected to it, they wanted to mention Zhang Xiaobao's name, so that Zhang Xiaobao would not be able to become the top scorer. What they didn't expect was that by pushing the people behind the scenes, they would get a different result. Before they could achieve their goal, when they mentioned Zhang Xiaobao's name, the commoners themselves thought of Zhang Xiaobao and took the initiative to mention him. The people who passed on the message did not add any embellishments, but they kept calling him our Xiaobao and our Cuckoo. These kinds of words made people feel fear. Without any sense of distance, it didn't mean that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had lost their status as officials in the eyes of the commoners. Not only would it not hinder them from issuing administrative orders, but it would also allow them to gain the support of the commoners. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. A portion of the members of the imperial clan who wanted to go against Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan simultaneously thought of this phrase. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were squeezing through the crowd, finally arrived at the side of the railway. This was the place where the train was supposed to connect. The train was not here, but on the boat. Originally, it was agreed that Luoyang was connected to Chang'an. After arriving at the Yellow River, the passengers would get off the train, cross the bridge, and take the train on the other side to continue their journey. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan discussed this matter for several days. Finally, they decided to use the boat to load the train and go between the two sides. After all, the passengers could walk, but it was not easy to handle the goods. If they had the time to load and unload, it would be better to pull the train directly. Wang Wan waited for the train to come in a while, so that she could stand on the platform with Zhang Xiaobao and announce the matter. Her eyes swept back and forth on the river surface, and she said to Zhang Xiaobao, "It would be good if there were electric locomotives. The current steam engine can't pull things that are too heavy. It can only pull 15 carriages at a time, and each carriage can only carry 20 tons of goods. The speed is only 30 kilometers per hour. It's really slow. The speed of the train is slow, and the number of carriages it can pull is small. However, the technological development of the Tang Empire is fast. If we can build a train today, I dare to build an airplane tomorrow. Look at this railway. Even if we don't give the steam engine technology to Japan and other countries, they can't build a railway. Zhang Xiaobao was very satisfied with this train. This was not just a problem of a train. Other aspects of technology must meet the corresponding requirements before a train can appear. Yes, it's all thanks to you. Remember to send people to guard the railway. I'm afraid that someone will remember us and send people to dig the railway. It can transport 300 tons of goods at a time. If it is built to Tibet, I will mobilize the troops and you will organize the logistics. Then it's too far, right? It can't be built. Wang Wan fantasized about the transportation ability of the train during a war. When she thought of the Longyu Road, she laughed. Now, it was no different from a fool's dream to build a railway there. Yes, there will be such a day. However, I estimate that the railway can be built to India one day. If you really want to go to war, you can use a large transport plane. Remember to write down the names of those who participated in the development of the train, and let the people of the world know of their existence. I don't dare to take credit. Chapter 907. Under the anticipation of the crowd, the ship carrying the train slowly entered the dock. There were 15 carriages with a capacity of 20 tons and 2 noses. It didn't need to be a big ship, just a large ferry that transported goods on the river would do. Because it was for show, there were no cargo compartments. Instead, there were 15 passenger compartments with transparent and clean glass windows. The carriages were painted a bright light blue. When it appeared in front of the people, the waiting people instantly liked this thing called a train. They thought that it would be very comfortable to sit in it. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood how uncomfortable it was to sit in such a rumbling train. They had sat in specially built nostalgic places before. I think it's okay. At least it's not like what an article said. The people of Tang can go and enjoy life. Zhang Xiaobao suppressed the other thoughts in his heart and praised against his will. Wang Wan nodded. Yes, it's better than sitting in a carriage. Even the Quicksilver dynamic balance house that Xiaobei and the others sat in when they were young is not as good as this train. How high are you going to set the ticket price? Ticket price? It's not very far from Chang until Luoyang, right? It's close in a straight line, but the railway makes a detour. It takes a day and a night to stop and wait for people and get on and off the ship. The theoretical speed is 30 kilometers per hour, but it can't be achieved in practice. How about 30 copper coins? Is it expensive? Zhang Xiaobao also couldn't estimate the price. If the cost of the railway and the train were to be calculated, then the price would be high. However, if the cost of normal travel was considered, then the price should be low. Wang Wan's beautiful eyebrows raised twice. She said, if we walk from Chang until Luoyang, it will take a month. If we walk quickly, it will take half a month. If we ride fast, we will arrive in a day. When we leave, we will eat fried noodles, dry biscuits and salted vegetables. Water will be free on the road, and we will take our own shoes. That will cost 20 copper coins. If you want to save money, go ahead. Now that the roads are better, go along the railway. It's safer than before. If you want to save time, take the train. I think there will be a lot of merchants. Anyway, merchants don't lack money. Let's set it at 50 coins. Is that enough for the coal? Shaanxi and Henan both produce coal, so of course there will be enough. The stations along the way will need more coal reserves. Supplies will need to be resupplied and water will also need 2 tracks, one going and one coming back. When we have enough this time, we will think of a way to increase the number of tracks. 50 copper coins will do. Zhang Xiaobao did some calculations and felt that this price was not considered expensive. The time saved from this trip was still very precious, especially for merchants. While the two of them were discussing the price, the ship on the dock connected with the railway. Under the command of Shao Qi, the train on the ship started to pick up speed with a rumbling sound. Thick smoke billowed out of it. When the people on both sides of the railway saw the huge head of the train, they were shocked. They also felt a kind of pressure coming from it. They were afraid that such a huge thing would suddenly rush out and hit them, so they all dodged to the side. For a moment, the scene was very chaotic. Fortunately, someone had already anticipated this situation and quickly used a loudspeaker to shout, telling the crowd not to panic, and that the train would not appear outside the 2 iron pillars. Only then did the restless crowd calm down. When the 17 carriages of the train had all arrived on the ground, and were heading towards the entrance of the capital, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about the slow speed of the train, and directly climbed onto the train. Under the shock of the people watching, they continuously waved their hands. It's Xiaobao! It's Xiaobao in cuckoo! Someone in the crowd immediately recognized Zhang Xiaobao, and shouted at the top of his voice, trying to drown out the sound of the train. Unfortunately, only a few people next to him could hear it. On the train, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan frowned. The two of them wanted to take this opportunity to talk, but they did not expect that the sound of the train was too loud. No matter how much they shouted, it was useless. The hot air balloon in the sky was slightly further away, so it was not affected much. Gao Lishur said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, this thing is the train. I estimate that it will take less than 24 hours to go from Dongdu to Chang'an. Your Majesty, if you want to go out in the future, you only need to take the train and not let other people come on. You don't have to worry about your safety, and you don't need to spend too much money." In fact, even without Gao Lishur's words, Li Longji had the same idea. He liked to go out for a stroll, but every time he went out, he had to spend a lot of money. Just the team of guards was very large. Now that there was a train, he could charter one. However, he could not say that. It would be easy for people to mistake him as Yang Guang. It was obvious that he was building a canal to facilitate transportation, but he could not bear to be accused of it. He nodded and said, "We should also prioritize the benefits of the people. We should speed up the transportation and coordinate the transportation between the north and the south. When this line is running normally, we should consider the people and the livelihood of the people in other places of Tang." Gao Lishur understood. "Your Majesty, rest assured. As long as this line is successful, I believe that other places will be paved with railways as soon as possible. Now that our dynasty is rich with money and grain, and with Xiaobao's support, no one dares to say that the Zhang family and Wang family are building the railway and train for their own interests. I estimate that it won't be long before the railway from Chang and to Sanshui County is completed, and then to Jili Province and Jiangnan East Road. Perhaps there will be a railway from Jiangnan East Road to Luzhou. I'll ask Xiaobao about this. Perhaps he already has a plan." Gao Lishur's meaning was very clear. He meant that the current situation was different from before. The imperial court could still support the construction of the railway. Moreover, this proposal was led by Zhang Zhong's Ministry of Works. Even if others were to blame them, they would look for the Zhang family and Wang family and subtly mention it. It would be very convenient for them to travel in the future. When the train slowly came to the outskirts of Chang, and it finally came to a stop with an ear-piercing sound of brakes, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head vigorously and stretched out his hand to the person who was shouting below, asking that person to throw a loudspeaker up. At this time, he and Wang Wan had already taken off their hats, and they were no longer as low-key. Many people recognized the two of them. Immediately, a burst of cheers broke out in the crowd. Some were happy to see the two of them, while some were purely supporting them. There were also some who cheered along with others. As for why they were cheering, they had no idea. Zhang Xiaobao pretended to press down with one hand, indicating for the crowd to be quiet. When everyone stopped cheering, he put the loudspeaker to his mouth and said to the crowd, "Hello everyone. I'm Zhang Xiaobao." Wow! Another burst of cheers rang out below. Most of them were women. Wang Wan curled her lips at the side, then suddenly smiled. She knew why so many girls were cheering. It was all because Zhang Xiaobao had given her so many things some time ago, especially the last 10 days of shrouding the sky. When he said 10 days, it was 10 days. During those 10 days, they could eat and drink as much as they wanted outside the city, but when they entered the city, they could enjoy endless shade. For a time, she became the dream lover of many girls who had fantasies in their hearts. Zhang Xiaobao saw Wang Wan's expression from the corner of his eyes. He hurriedly pressed down with his hand again, waited for the cheers to die down, and introduced her. This is the Deputy Provincial Governor of Bohai, Wang Wan. Heaven and earth suddenly fell silent. The surrounding people did their best to control their breathing, let alone speak. They didn't even dare to use force. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. Wang Wan muttered, "Am I that scary?" Zhang Xiaobao's reaction was faster. He immediately said, "I understand your thoughts. In fact, the so-called warriors of Tubo back then were even more afraid than you." To what extent were they afraid of? A general suppressing 1,000 cavalry. Good. Demon Fiend Cuckoo, good job. Suddenly, a rough shout came from the crowd. With this shout, more shouts followed, instantly breaking the silence just now. Just like the shouts for Zhang Xiaobao just now, it was basically the voices of girls just now, but now it was the voices of men. Wang Wan smiled happily this time. She kept waving at the surrounding people, and even looked up at the group of hot air balloons, scaring the members of the imperial clan who were enemies of Zhang Xiaobao. 2 of them almost fell from the top. After laughing for a while, Wang Wan snatched the loudspeaker in Zhang Xiaobao's hand and shouted to the crowd, "I am Cuckoo. Whoever dares to offend Tang, I will lead the troops to kill. Whether it's Duo Shi, Japan, or Xian Luo, kill. 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 Kill." The hot-blooded men below followed suit and shouted, "Io. My great-aunt, pay attention to international influence. Many foreigners are here. Give it to me. You are not suitable to be a diplomat." Zhang Xiaobao quickly took the loudspeaker back and explained with a warm smile, "Just now Military Commander Wang was joking with friends from other places. We are peace-loving people. Even if there are differences and conflicts, we will sit down and talk. We will not bring millions of soldiers to pressure the border, nor will we fire guns. Although we have very powerful special forces, everyone can rest assured that we will not use them for assassination. As for economic attacks, it will not happen. Don't worry." It would have been better if Zhang Xiaobao did not explain. Once he did, it made people from other countries worry, especially Takeshita Junichiro, who had been in Beijing with a certain purpose. He felt that the threat in Zhang Xiaobao's words was very heavy. Zhang Xiaobao did not care what others thought. A strong country should act like a strong country. Who said that strong countries had to look like they were easy to bully? After threatening the others, he smiled and said, "There's one more thing that I want to tell everyone. Actually, I'm not supposed to say it, but many people are concerned, so I'll mention it. That is, Wan and I will be participating in this year's fall quarter examinations. I guarantee that there won't be any cheating." "Okay, Xiaobao Cuckoo top scorer." The crowd below was in chaos again. There were all kinds of shouts. Chapter 908. Asking about the long journey. The moon turns and the sun sets. The blue sky, the flying gulls and herons, the wind blows over the West Lake. Asking about the long journey. Shameless, shameless. On the hot air balloon, Li Yan gritted his teeth and spat out a few words. "Your Highness, there's no need to lower yourself to their level. They're just petty people who get what they deserve." The people around Li Yan quickly tried to persuade him. Li Yan had heard too many such words recently. Ever since his concubine's brother was dealt with, many people came to comfort him and ask him to bear with it, but not many were willing to help him. Li Yan understood that if it was someone else, even if it was another brother or the son of a prince, he would not have fallen into such a situation. It was because the person who impeached him was too unusual. 9 children jointly came to the morning court to cause trouble. That cute appearance of theirs was too lethal. Not to mention that they really had something on them. Even if they were not wrong, they would still be weaker. Even so, he endured it and looked for an opportunity to repay them generously. The people in the imperial family who grieved for the loss of the rabbit helped to talk to his father, thinking that it should be able to make the Zhang family and Wang family restrain themselves a little. Who knew that not only did they not care, they even made such a big scene during the recruitment ceremony. In the end, they even covered Chang, and with a cloth for 10 days. Now that they finally found a way to prevent Zhang Xiaobao from getting the honor he deserved in this year's autumn imperial examination, they did not expect that a train ride would help the 2 of them. Can they really be so arrogant? Aren't they afraid of being forced to abdicate? Li Yan muttered as he looked at his father's hot air balloon. He could not help but sigh at the lack of family affection in the imperial family. His own son was not as favored as an outsider. Sitting under the hot air balloon, Li Longji did not even think about his son Li Yan. He listened attentively to the voices below, appearing to be very satisfied. Even Gao Lishir beside him did not have any other thoughts. For example, Zhang family and Wang family were too powerful and difficult to control. In his opinion, such a thing was impossible to happen. The main reason was the attitude of the Zhang family and Wang family children. The 11 children were never afraid of the emperor like the others. The respect they showed was not for the throne, but for the emperor's age. The one with the most obvious performance was Xiao Bei. To Xiao Bei, the solemn palace was just another place to play. His Majesty the Emperor was a kind elder. Xiao Bei was willing to help his elder with something, and also liked to sing and dance in front of his elder to express himself. There was also Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. There was not the slightest hint of nervousness on their faces. When they spoke with His Majesty, it was no different from a normal conversation. Although the topic was rather important, such as deciding the life and death of a country or planning the lives of the common people of the Great Tang, the ease with which they spoke was not something that could be faked. Even a king or the crown prince would not be able to speak so naturally. It showed that he did not have a ghost in his heart. He did not care whether His Majesty would be angry because of this, and he did not deliberately try to please His Majesty. In his magnanimity, it was exactly the same as the saying, "There is nothing that cannot be said to others." With that thought in mind, Gao Lishir said softly to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, it seems that you don't have to worry about the fall quarter examinations this year." "How can you not worry about it?" The two of them were able to speak when they were less than a year old, and when they were younger they studied poetry and books. Don't look at how one of them is good at war, and the other is good at governance. If one day the two of them were to switch positions, Zhen believes that Xiao Bao's ability to lead troops in battle would not be much worse than Wan Wan's, and Wan Wan's governance is also beyond the reach of ordinary people. This fall quarter examinations this year will be posted all over Chang'an. I will gather thousands of students in the hibiscus garden and test Xiao Bao and Cuckoo face to face. I will let the world see that I dote on them for a reason. Lishir, are you worried that the two of them will not be able to answer the questions? Li Longji decided to take a gamble on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He was betting that the two of them were not only proficient in military and politics, but were also proficient in other subjects. Li Longji had reason to be happy, especially when he heard that the people supported Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to participate in the fall quarter examinations and become the top scorer. He was not worried about anything else, because no matter how much the people supported the two of them to become the top scorer, it was the thoughts expressed by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan as subjects. This showed that the people still approved of his position as the emperor. Gao Lishir nodded, then shook his head. Your Majesty, I am not worried that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will not be able to answer the questions. The two of them memorized Arya when they were 4 years old. After that, they learned the selection of literature, the book of songs, and so on. It seems that if you put them in front of them, they would be able to learn it in a short period of time. Intelligent people do not need to study hard for 10 years to get a good ranking. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have studied for many years. In addition, they have been intelligent since they were young. I think it would be too easy for them to talk about the imperial examination. The purpose of the imperial examination is to choose the pillars of the country. They have never taken the imperial examination, so who would dare to say that they are not capable? What I am worried about is that during the political discussion in the hibiscus garden, the two of them will reveal our dynasty's secrets. Your Majesty must not casually ask about things that are too important. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the two of them to answer. I am also worried that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will become famous in the autumn imperial examination, causing the other students to lose the confidence to participate in the spring imperial examination next year. I am not afraid of not knowing the goods, but I am afraid of comparing the goods. When Li Longji heard Gao Lishir's words, he also hesitated. He understood that the normal imperial examination questions were like child's play to Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Not to mention other things, just Xiaobei's 9 children could easily pass a county's children's examination. If it was only about literature, Xiao Yuan could even pass the provincial capital's high scholar examination without a problem. He was born with a good family. That thing called nutrition was good. In addition, his education method was special. Compared to other children of the same age, he was not just a little bit better. If the autumn imperial examination questions this year were really too difficult, would the other students still take the exam? If they worked so hard to study and found that they couldn't even answer a single question, it would be very easy for them to collapse. After considering this matter for a while, Li Longji proposed, "Why don't we give a few more spots to Reed's and Reed's Academy this year? With them as a foil, they should be stronger. After all, the requirements for Reed's and Reed's Academy are stricter. Besides the required knowledge, they also need to be proficient in government affairs. In the past few years, those who have successfully graduated as high scholars from Reed's and Reed's Academy have all passed the spring imperial examination." Your Majesty's words are correct. At present, many of the local officials of the Great Tang are already unable to adapt to the speed of the Great Tang's construction. The officials who originally performed well can't keep up with the development pace set by Xiaobao and Cuckoo. We should find more officials who are proficient in government affairs and send them to the local areas, or else they'll just be a burden. We should discuss this matter with the other officials. Gao Lisher had a rather good understanding of the current situation. In the past, the officials only needed to ensure that the people under their rule didn't cause too much trouble, repair the irrigation works, help record the output of the fields, pacify the people, and catch criminals. That would definitely give them an excellent score during the evaluation. But that wasn't the case in the present day. The local officials now didn't just want you to focus on whether or not you had a good harvest this year. Instead, they wanted you to plan for crops other than wheat, rice, and soybeans. They also wanted you to make rational use of the land, to plant other economic crops. They wanted to teach the people what to plant and how to sell them. If the neighboring counties all grew the same thing, for example, sugarcane, the land planned by the officials wasn't suitable for planting, and the sugarcane they grew would have a lower sugar content than the surrounding counties. If there was no market for it, it would be considered a failure. It was the same for industry. What was suitable for processing, where to obtain the raw materials, the problems that would arise, and the final profits had to be considered beforehand. In addition, logistics, tourism, infrastructure, education, medical care, and many other things had to be considered. When calculating the county's finances, the ratio of output to input had to be calculated. This way, those who only had a family member who was an official, or those who only wrote a few good essays were unable to adapt. As the Great Tang's agriculture and industry system gradually developed, many local officials were unable to become good officials even if they wanted to. After hearing Gao Lisher's words, Li Longji's excited expression calmed down, and he sighed. Sighs. No wonder Xiaobao likes to work in the Agriculture Office and Ministry of Works. After so many years of investment, we finally see results. But the talents can't keep up. From this year onwards, the learning before an official takes office can't just be a formality. The evaluation must be strict, and those who can't pass are not allowed to be demoted to be a local official. Not only will they harm the people and the country, they will also be digging their own graves. It's difficult to govern such a huge country. After this year's autumn examinations, should we transfer Xiaobao to the head of the Secretariat? Your Majesty, you mustn't let Xiaobao become the Prime Minister. Even if he has the ability, the other officials will be disappointed. Furthermore, Xiaobao doesn't seem to know how to be an official. Gao Lisher immediately tried to dissuade Li Longji. He didn't want his godson to be roasted on the fire. Li Longji agreed that the officials were disappointed, but he didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao didn't know how to be an official. It's not that Xiaobao and Cuckoo don't know how to be an official, but they don't want to. Would a person with a submachine gun play the same game as a person with a hoe? If you don't believe me, I'll bring them here for 2 days to see if there's anyone who can compete with them in half a month. After the examination, I'll have the 2 of them return to Bohai and settle the matters there. After that, Xiaobao will enter the Ministry of Revenue, and Cuckoo will enter the Ministry of Military Personnel. They will be assistant ministers for a few months. While chatting, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's future positions were arranged by Li Longji. He didn't think too much about it and directly arranged for them to be assistant ministers. Chapter 909. After announcing their participation in this year's fall quarter examinations, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan left hand in hand. The people who were secretly protecting them heaved a sigh of relief. This kind of action was too dangerous. The merchants watched the two leave. They wanted to get closer, but they felt that their status was not high enough. The people who were preparing to participate in this year's fall quarter examinations were not in a hurry to leave. After all, it was a new thing. Who cared what it was? They would take a good look at it and write a poem or two. Perhaps this year's fall quarter examinations would have such a topic. The other ordinary people slowly moved forward. They wanted to get closer to the huge thing and feel what it felt like. At the same time, they were very curious about the price of the ticket. They did not know how much it would cost to take a ride. Since it was the first time a train had appeared, they would naturally think of ways to let people experience it. The person in charge of advertising began to use a loudspeaker to announce the speed and stability of the train. After speaking for a full hour, he finally announced the ticket price to the people around him. It was 50 copper coins. From Chang until Luoyang, there would be a stop midway. To be precise, there were 2 stops. One was north of the Yellow River, and the other was south of the Yellow River. That was before and after transferring to the ship. It would cost 20 copper coins. This price was not high for the common people, but it was not low either. 50 copper coins could buy 4 to 5 bushels of rice and 10 bushels of millet. No one would come for a ride for no reason. In order to let more people experience it, the person in charge of advertising proposed a free 3-day one-way trip. Those who wanted to ride could get a ticket, regardless of whether it was from Luoyang to Chang, or from Chang and to Chang'an. The one-way trip was free. Those who wanted to return would have to think of their own ways. Of course, it was impossible to only send one trip a day. When would they earn back the money spent on building the railway? When it started operating, one trip would be sent every 6 hours. When the goods were concentrated, they could send extra trains. The appearance of the train made people excited for a while. Most people wanted to experience the feeling. Some merchants considered the convenience of transporting goods in the future. Only a small group of people thought about the military aspect. Li Linfu, who hadn't turned bad yet, or rather because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were around, didn't have a chance to turn bad. Li Linfu considered military applications. He had his hot air balloon float to Li Longji's side and shouted, "Your Majesty, can this thing really travel 50 kilometers per hour?" Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan obtained a theoretical speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Under normal circumstances, they could reach more than 20 kilometers per hour, which was about 100 kilometers per hour. This was also the first time Li Longji had seen a real train. He estimated the speed and nodded. Yes, it is faster than an 800 Li express train. Although there are telegrams now and the speed is faster, it is still very fast when used to transport an army. An 800 Li express train will be limited by the speed of the horse, but the train will not be. If we build the railway to Longyu Road. At this point, Li Longji stopped. He knew the cost of building a railway. Just the section from Chang until Luoyang would cost an unbearable amount. The cost of building a railway wasn't that high, but the requirements for the steel of the railway were too high. It wouldn't be able to bear the weight of the train if it was slightly inferior. He still didn't know that not only was the railway expensive, it was also not slow to make money. Li Linfu naturally thought of this point and replied, "Your Majesty, it is worth it even if it costs more. The faster the army is dispatched, the more stable the Great Tang will be. If we can increase the speed and reach Longyu Road in an instant, others won't have time to prepare." Fortunately, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't hear Li Linfu's words. Otherwise, they would definitely strangle him. If they wanted to travel from Chang and to Tibet in an instant, they would only be able to do it at that time. Li Longji glanced at Li Linfu and didn't say anything. His meaning was very clear. Without money, they couldn't afford to build it. Li Linfu didn't continue to talk about this matter. He changed the topic and said, "Your Majesty, there is one thing that I don't understand. On flat ground or places where the slope is not big, the train can go. If it encounters a big slope, will it slip? At that time, it won't be able to go up or down. Even if it's a flat road, this subject is afraid that the train won't be able to carry too many things and will end up on the same spot." The moment he mentioned this, Li Longji also thought of this problem. He quickly sent someone to find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. If they couldn't solve this problem, wouldn't the imperial court have wasted their money? It was fine to pull an empty carriage now, but would it be difficult to pull it when it was filled with goods? Not to mention the bare wheels on the bare tracks. Even a horse-drawn carriage would only be able to move if there were too many horses. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hadn't gone far when they noticed that there were people following them. Just as they were preparing to give the other party an opportunity to make a move, they were found and asked to answer a question. "Why don't you think about such a simple matter yourself?" Zhang Xiaobao muttered as he walked to the bottom of Li Longji's hot air balloon and climbed up the soft ladder. Wang Wan wasn't in a hurry and waited for the people above to pull her up. Upon reaching the hot air balloon, Zhang Xiaobao first looked at Li Linfu, who was deep in thought, and said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, as long as the locomotive can move such a heavy carriage, it won't be too heavy. We can add more weight to the locomotive to increase the friction. In fact, the locomotive is already very heavy, and it needs to be filled with water and coal." "Oh, I see." Li Longji didn't really understand, but since Zhang Xiaobao said it, it would definitely work. He asked, "Then what about the steep slope?" "Yes," Li Qing asked. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao was looking at Li Linfu, Li Longji admitted to it. That's a good question." Zhang Xiaobao wasn't so polite to Li Linfu. He smiled and asked Li Linfu, "I don't know if Lord Li knows how a carriage works when going up a steep slope? What do people do when they carry heavy things up a steep slope? What is the shape of the mountain road when going up the mountain?" Li Linfu thought for a moment and replied, "It seems to be a zigzag shape, but how do trains move?" "Why can't trains move? Can't you see that there are two locomotives? Can't you just extend the track a bit, and then change the track? Add something to change the track. In the future, don't ask such a childish question." Zhang Xiaobao seemed very unhappy as he gestured with his hands. Those who were paying attention to this matter understood. Although Li Linfu was depressed by Zhang Xiaobao's words, he couldn't help but admit that Zhang Xiaobao's words made sense. He nodded and suddenly thought of the cost of repairing the road. He felt that he couldn't let Zhang Xiaobao be so relaxed, so he asked, "I wonder if Lord Zhang has a way to solve the problem of the cost of repairing the railway to other places?" Zhang Xiaobao didn't care if Li Linfu was a hypocrite or not, so he turned his head and didn't say anything. He liked to suppress Li Linfu, and being able to suppress a legendary figure made him feel very happy. Li Longji also hoped that Zhang Xiaobao would suddenly become very magical and solve the problem with a single sentence, so he asked, "Xiaobao, do you have a way? If it really doesn't work, we can just repair it bit by bit." "Your Majesty doesn't need to worry. It's very simple. If it weren't for the fact that the railway from Chang until Luoyang was built by the imperial court, this subject would have already arranged for it to be repaired. The imperial court wouldn't have to spend a single copper coin. Primarily, this subject is worried that before the fact that the railway doesn't operate properly is revealed, other people won't be willing to take this risk. This subject is waiting for this railway to operate normally for a month. At that time, as long as the railway leads to a relatively prosperous place, the imperial court won't have to spend any more money. Even the department selling the railway tracks and the railway will be able to make a small profit." Zhang Xiaobao said without stopping until he was shocked to death. Hearing these words, even Li Longji, who believed that he had gotten used to his miraculous abilities, couldn't help but be stunned. "Tell me in detail," Li Longji seriously said. "In truth, it's nothing much. It's the same as when the Great Tang Bank was first established. Now the Great Tang Bank has been completely returned to the country, and the railway is being repaired. Any merchant who puts in money can receive a portion of the shares and receive a proportional dividend, but they aren't allowed to buy or sell. There's a set time limit. They're also given the right to transport goods for free. Based on how much money they put in, they can transport as much goods as they want every day or every cycle. But when the imperial court requires it, they have to give priority to the goods or personnel of the imperial court. At the set time, if their income hasn't increased by half, including the cost of their free transport, that is, if their profits haven't reached 50%, they'll continue to be given the right to transport goods for free and increase the proportion of profits. If their profits have reached 100% before the set time limit, their shares will be automatically terminated. Presumably, there will be quite a few merchants willing to spend money to repair the railway. Zhang Xiaobao proposed a shareholding system, a system of shares with the nature of power. At the side, Gao Lisher thought about it. Xiaobao, what if they don't think it's worth it? Then what should they do? Gather them in your name? Don't. They can't always use my name. The things of the imperial court are the things of the imperial court. If they don't want to do it directly, they can entrust the Great Tang Bank to issue bonds or directly borrow money from the Great Tang Bank. It can be low interest or no interest. When the time comes, they will have to sign a contract with the Great Tang Bank. The borrower is only allowed to use the money on the railway. When the time comes, the money has to be deposited in the Great Tang Bank. Even though it's a state-owned enterprise, this has to be done according to the regulations. Otherwise, it will be a mess. Actually, the railway is a very profitable business. When it's not busy with transporting goods, they can even operate it with low profits or even zero profits. At that time, the imperial court will subsidize them. Zhang Xiaobao vetoed his own suggestion to step in and said something else. This time, there was another matter, and everyone was confused. Li Longji frowned. Why do we need to have zero profits and the imperial court subsidize them? Where does the money come from? Chapter 910. Zhang Xiaobao only suggested a few options, but did not directly specify which one was the most suitable. This was because he did not know how to do it better. If the imperial court finally came up with a plan, he would participate, but not lead. When Wang Wan left with him, Li Longji and the others no longer continued to pay attention to the running of the train. They flew directly into the palace on the hot air balloon, and gathered important ministers to discuss this matter. On the way back, Wang Wan held Zhang Xiaobao's arm and asked softly, Xiaobao, tell me the truth. Do you know how to climb the train? Zhang Xiaobao shook his head twice and said firmly, No, I really don't. Why not? You learned a lot of your skills in prison. Don't tell me there aren't any legendary experts in prison? Wang Wan asked. There are masters, but there are no masters who can climb the train at least 200 kilometers per hour. Do you think the train of the railway gorillas in the documentary film? Do you want to learn? Then we can try using the current trains. When Zhang Xiaobao answered, the scene of a train flashed in his mind. He could not help but shiver. From Chang'an to Tibet, the train that left in the morning and arrived in the evening referred to this kind of train. There was the fastest train, and it even saved more time than taking a plane to and from Tibet. There was no master who could climb such a train. Wang Wan smiled and leaned on Zhang Xiaobao. That's more like it. I thought that my husband was not an ordinary person, but it turns out that there are also people who can't do it. Then tell me, will there be people who climb the train halfway through? I'm afraid that someone will accidentally get stabbed to death, and I can't specially open a class for them to teach them what to pay attention to when climbing the train. After hearing what you said, I'm really worried. The train route can't be like the river from Sanshui County, where there are bailiffs patrolling 24 hours a day. If that's really the case, it's better to use small carts to push the goods. The cost is too high. If there are strong young men who want to take a free train, they can just run a few steps, especially when the train has just left the station. Zhang Xiaobao thought of the situation when a train was moving on the tracks. Especially when the truck arrived at a certain station, after filling up with water and coal. It started moving slowly and did not go too far. After thinking about it, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly. Your words remind me of India. 100 years ago, the trains were packed with people. Even in our time, it's still packed with people. I can't help but admire it. Why don't we arrange a few people to hold down the train? Anyone who is caught climbing on the train will be severely punished. If you meet someone whose family isn't that rich to begin with, how would you judge? If he was locked up, how would his family survive? Fine and no money. Let's not talk about India. As long as the racial system doesn't disappear, it won't be a good day. They're so stupid. They only know how to buy weapons, but when they buy them back, they can't use them. After fighting 2 small-scale local wars, the weapons are used up. Then they spend money to buy more weapons and try to have more children. They have more people than our country. Do you think we should carry out propaganda and education? Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao were the same. One moment, they talked about this, and the next moment, they talked about something else. Walking on the road, Zhang Xiaobao raised the hand that was not held by Wang Wan, and casually moved it. He led Wang Wan into a small restaurant nearby. Coincidentally, there was a table by the window where someone had just finished eating. The two of them stood there and waited for the waiter to clean up. They casually ordered 2 plates of rice wine and prepared to eat. It seems that Takeshita Junichiro is anxious. Zhang Xiaobao's lips moved. Wang Wan blinked twice to show that she understood. Because on the road, she also saw the people behind them. To be precise, they were thieves. It had been several days since she saw them by the lake that day. She had already investigated the origins of this group of people. She just couldn't figure out how they were going to do it. Were they stupid and didn't know her and Xiaobao's identity? Didn't they know how much the two of them valued their safety? I think the propaganda and education you mentioned just now is fine. Zhang Xiaobao changed the topic back to the previous matter. Since you said it's fine, why don't you take out a feasibility report? How do you plan to do it? Wang Wan saw that her proposal was approved by Zhang Xiaobao, and was very happy. She glanced at the 2 people who had just entered and no longer paid attention to them. There's no need to write a plan. We just need to catch him and bring him back to his village. We will write a big sign and hang it around his neck and parade him through the streets. We can even make a trip to the villages that are not related to him. Let him and his family lose face. He won't dare to do it again in the future. After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he raised his head and drank more than half a bowl of warm rice wine. He raised his arm to wipe the sweat on his forehead and looked around. He grinned and said, "A small restaurant is just a small restaurant. It doesn't even have a fan. It's so hot. You can just put an ice basin by the side. Don't nitpick. If we really install a fan, we will have to renovate the restaurant and increase the price of the dishes. Take it off when it's hot." Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao. Her voice wasn't loud, but it could be heard by the people around them. "It's not good to take it off, is it? It's not elegant." Zhang Xiaobao replied shyly. "Who's looking at you? You're so ugly." "Oh," Zhang Xiaobao replied with an. He really took off his shirt and casually threw it on a stool at the side of the aisle. He continued to drink with his upper body bared. The people around them looked at Zhang Xiaobao in surprise. In the whole restaurant, he was the only one who dared to take off his shirt. Even the women who were eating couldn't help but glance at him. It couldn't be helped. He was too eye-catching. His skin was so white that it was obvious that he was from a rich family. However, the pieces of flesh on his body that were pleasing to the eye gave people another kind of feeling. It was a combination of contradictions. "Shameless," Wang Wan muttered in a low voice and then asked, "You said just now that you want people to hang a big sign. It seems that you don't respect people. They also have human rights." "Human rights or human life? Human rights? Do you want to give him a vote? Does he think that he's from our Sanshui County? Let's do it this way. Anyone who dares to climb on the bus in the future will hang a big sign and parade on the streets. There are people selling popsicles outside. Go and buy 2 for me." Zhang Xiaobao didn't care and insisted on his idea. When he turned his head, he just happened to see a person carrying a box wrapped in cotton cloth on his shoulder. He didn't need that person to shout to know what it was for. During the summer, there were many people who specialized in selling popsicles. The real white sugar popsicles cost 1 copper coin for 2. They were big and sweet. "Won't he come over if you shout? Why don't you let the waiter go? I don't like to move in hot weather," Wang Wan said with a pout. "Just do as I say." Otherwise, I won't be able to control you. Zhang Xiaobao stared at her. Yes. Husband, please wait for a moment. I'll be right back. Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao and left her seat. She went outside to buy popsicles. Zhang Xiaobao sat there and drank a mouthful of wine. He held his stomach and looked at the waiter. The waiter was also smart. He pointed inside. There was a side door. Zhang Xiaobao quickly rushed over. This person told me to buy popsicles and ran away. Waiter, did you see my husband? After a while, Wang Wan came back with a popsicle in each hand. She glanced around and didn't see Zhang Xiaobao. She muttered to the waiter. Replying to you, I saw him. It's hot, so he went to the back to cool down. He probably drank too much water. The waiter replied very tactfully. He didn't directly say that her husband couldn't hold it in, and went to the bathroom. After all, there were still people eating. Lazy people shit a lot. Wang Wan didn't care. She cursed and put down the popsicle. She took the clothes that Zhang Xiaobao took off and put them on the stool and pressed them beside her. Not long after, Zhang Xiaobao came back with a relaxed expression. He first looked at the seats where the two people who had followed them in were sitting. When he realized that they had already left, he sat back down and picked up a popsicle. They left. They left. I watched the two of them leave. Stupid people are stupid people. We still have to find opportunities with them. Takeshita Junichiro found such a person. It's not that I'm looking down on him, but he's really not an opponent on the same level. Wang Wan curled her lips and picked up a popsicle to eat. However, Zhang Xiaobao grabbed it. It's cold. Don't you know what's wrong with you? You can't even touch cold water, and you still want to eat popsicles. You've been nurturing yourself well since you were young. Are you planning to go all out? Yes, I know my mistake. This time, the sea is going to be chaotic. Won't Xinhua and Japan go crazy fighting? Wang Wan was at the sunflower stage, and had already formed a habit. Every time this happened, Zhang Xiaobao would not let her touch cold things. At night, he would cover her waist with a blanket from time to time when she slept. Other women had never had a sore waist and stomach. Zhang Xiaobao poured half a bowl of warm rice wine for Wang Wan. Drink this today. Go back and drink wine before going to bed at night. Chaos, it's good. If not, where can I find an opportunity? It's not easy to destroy a country without direct force. The situation in the sea is already tense enough. You still want to add fuel to the fire. Are you sure they don't dare to directly snatch our ship? Wang Wan took a sip of wine and stuffed a piece of lotus seed cake into her mouth. Her voice was muffled. The information sent from the seaside had already described the situation there in detail. Xinhua wanted to go to the island next to Xinyuan Island to plant garlic and mine. Japan also wanted to go there, but Tang did not express its opinion. As a result, the two countries had many conflicts on the island and at sea. In addition, pirates appeared from time to time, causing people on both sides to suspect that it was the other side's doing. They had already sent memorials to Li Longji to blame the other side, wanting Tang to help them deal with the other side. Li Longji's attitude was more ambiguous, and the result was the current situation. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a piece of cucumber and threw it into his mouth. The production of chili is not enough. If you sprinkle some chili powder into this cucumber, it will taste even better. Cucumbers have a lot of water, just enough to relieve the spiciness. As a result, the more you eat, the more spicy it becomes. The more spicy it is, the more you want to eat it. I really hope that they will attack our ships. That way, your 8 elite battalions will have a place to fight. If the transportation is convenient, it's best to go to Europe and see if England and France are still as awesome. Oh, I shouldn't call them that. England doesn't seem to be called England yet. France should be called France, right? Anyway, that's how it is. With 8,000 elite cavalry, we should be able to achieve good results. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand war. What do you mean by good results? As long as the logistics can keep up, I can flatten them all. Do you think guns and cannons are decorations? It's a pity that it's too far away. I can't kill everyone. If I get sick a few more times, I'll die there. Let's take it slow. As long as I'm alive, I'll go there and take a look. Even if I can't fly there, I'll take a boat there and plant a few flags there. Regardless of what happens in the future, I'll make Tang an empire where the sun never sets. Wang Wan looked indifferent, as if she did not care about those countries. Yes, you're amazing. Then why didn't we occupy them back then? It's because of the influence of the international situation. Otherwise, with our national strength back then, which country in Europe would be able to defeat us in a one-on-one battle? If we didn't throw a nuclear bomb, we would be able to defeat the United States even if it was a one-on-one battle. All right, let's not talk about the past. What's your purpose in renting the steam engine and the gunships to them? Wang Wan boasted to Zhang Xiaobao for a while. After satisfying her mental craving, she returned to the topic. Say, after muttering to himself for a while, Takeshita Junichiro sighed and felt a little regretful. Back then, Zhang Xiaobao had happily agreed to rent the steam engine ship and the gunship to Japan while he and the others were drinking. He had considered too much and was afraid that he would be deceived. In the end, he had delayed until now. Could it be because of this that Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to support another country? Takeshita Junichiro took a deep breath, stood up, and opened the window again. The wind blowing in his face made him feel much more energetic. He looked up at the sun hanging in the sky, turned around and walked out of the room, heading for the place where the telegram was sent. With a ticking sound, a letter from home was sent out by Takeshita Junichiro. The letter was not written smoothly, and there were some parts where the words did not convey the meaning. The person who sent the telegram did not ask any questions, and typed it out word for word. When the last word stopped, Takeshita Junichiro, who was beside him, felt his heart settle down. At the same time, he could not help but sigh. The new invention of the telegram was indeed very convenient. Not only did it make it convenient for the Great Tang's various officials to send messages in a timely manner, it also made it convenient for him. Although he understood that the telegram sent by someone like him would definitely be received by the other side. So what? Could it be that they could decipher his secret message? That would require a whole set of books. How could the Great Tang know which book he used to translate the message when he contacted them? Decipher it? It would tire them to death. Takeshita Junichiro thought. Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. Decipher it? Perhaps the Great Tang doesn't need to add another layer of code when transmitting information, right? If that's the case, wouldn't I be able to obtain more information on the Great Tang if I get a telegram machine? Takeshita Junichiro's eyes lit up as though he had found a new path. However, he soon became depressed. Where could he get a telegram machine? Any place with a telegram machine would definitely be heavily guarded. I can't get one. No matter how much money I spend, I can't get one. The Great Tang will not relax its control in this area. Telegram. To think that there is such a thing that can transmit information so quickly. The heavens are really blind. Then can I get someone to steal a copy of the production method of the telegram machine? Takeshita Junichiro muttered to himself as he left the telegram machine. Suddenly, he thought of the organization that he had hired. Since they could steal information from Zhang Xiaobao, it shouldn't be difficult for them to steal a copy of the production method, right? With this idea in mind, Takeshita Junichiro quickened his pace. When he reached a fork in the road, he turned towards the south. After passing by 2 more forks, he changed his direction again. After changing his direction a few more times, he finally arrived in front of a shop. The shop's signboard indicated that this was a shop that sold the 4 treasures of the study. Takeshita Junichiro looked around. Seeing that no one was following him, he walked in casually. He didn't go to the seller to talk to him first. Instead, he started looking around. On the left side of the door, there was a row of shelves. There was an ink slab placed at intervals on the shelves. He walked step by step, looking at the ink slab one by one. When he saw the 12th ink slab, Takeshita Junichiro stopped and twisted the ink slab in front of him to change its direction. He then turned around and asked, "How much is this ink slab used to carve the mountain fox?" 60 copper coins. The person standing behind the counter glanced at the ink slab and said a number. Based on the carving skills and the quality of the ink slab, 60 copper coins wasn't expensive. In fact, it was shockingly cheap. If one really wanted to buy it, they would feel that they had gotten a bargain. However, Takeshita Junichiro didn't look happy at all. This was because the number wasn't right. The other party should have replied, "This isn't a Mountain Fox ink slab. It's a Mountain Fox ink slab. It's smarter than a mountain fox." Then Takeshita Junichiro would have continued, "Can a mountain fox enter Chang'an?" The other party would have replied, "Omnipotent." Following that, Takeshita Junichiro took the ink slab and entered with the shop assistant to discuss some matters. But why was the price given now? Takeshita Junichiro was puzzled. Could it be that he had entered the wrong place? He opened his mouth and after a while he asked, "This place isn't this?" "Sir, it's obvious that you come here often. Our shop has just changed hands and we want to do other business. That's why the price is so low. If you feel that it's still expensive, we can give you a lower price. Wait until we sell the rest of the goods and do other business," the shop assistant said with a smile. Boom. This sentence sounded like thunder in Takeshita Junichiro's ears. Unwilling to give up, he asked again, Then where's the original owner?" "I'm not sure. Could it be that you want to find the original owner? Then you can only ask the current owner." The shop assistant shook his head and revealed a regretful expression. Takeshita Junichiro also shook his head. No, I'm just asking casually." After saying that, Takeshita Junichiro was no longer in the mood to stay in the shop. He turned around and left dejectedly. After his figure disappeared, the shop assistant behind the counter, Weiwei, smiled and muttered to himself, "The original owner is naturally dead. He clearly knew that you were Japanese. He clearly knew that you were going to steal the young master of the Zhang family. Yet he still dared to accept the job. A traitor is more hateful than an enemy. Asterisk 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 asterisk. During the dog days, even if the sky was covered by dark clouds, people would still sweat nonstop. Compared to the adults, the children did not sweat as much. Little Bei and the others did not sweat as much. They walked on the streets of Wanyan County and looked around. It was as though they were curious about every person or thing they saw. "It's so hot. What did Big Brother and Big Sister say?" Little Bei, who was standing under the shade of a tree by the roadside, kept wiping his sweat. He wiped his sweat as well. As he spoke, he looked at Little Yuan. Little Yuan was like a secretary. He had to remember everything that others said. He also had to memorize everything that Little Bei wanted to know. After all, he had a photographic memory. He was born to be a secretary. Little Yuan, who had already adapted to the role of a secretary, replied without thinking, "They said that we shivered even if it wasn't cold. We sweated even if it wasn't hot during the dog days." "That's right. I must have felt cold when I was in Luzhou. It must have been cold during the dog days. Otherwise, why would I be so afraid of the cold?" Little Bei said. "There's no dog days in Luzhou. Even if there was, Big Brother and Big Sister wouldn't let us feel cold." "That's heartless," Little Yuan retorted. "I'm just saying. Otherwise, it's too hot to just think about it. Look, my clothes are already soaked." Little Bei looked around and saw a small river not far ahead. An old man was sitting under a willow tree by the river, fishing. He walked over. Xiao Yuan shook his head a couple of times and also followed behind. The others naturally did not go too far. Soon after, Little Bei came to the old man's side. He looked at the old man, and then at the fishing rod that was hanging in the water. He squatted there and rested his face on his hand. He did not say anything and just watched silently. Zhang Chang, Zhang Fang, and the others were also squatting under the tree. Their eyes were looking here and there, each of them thinking about their own matters. Xiao Yuan took out a small book from his bosom and began to research. Xiao Hai found a wooden stick and began to write formulas on the ground. Xiao Zhu took down the drawing board on her back and found a good position to begin sketching. Just like that, the 9 little fellows each had their own tasks and stayed in silence. It was very harmonious. They were now on vacation. Zhang Xiaobao felt that he had taught them too many things recently, and it was not easy for them to understand. It just so happened that the weather was hot, so he let them come out to play. It was not far from the capital. Naturally, he did not give them any homework. They were still young, and they still had to play. As for what they wanted to do, he did not care. After watching for a while, Xiaobei took out a bottle of warm water from his bag and slowly took a sip. He waited for the old man to reel in another fish. When he changed the bait, he smiled and moved closer to the old man, asking, "Grandpa, are you going to sell the fish you catch?" The old man had noticed little Bei and the others when they came. Looking at their clothes, he knew that they were not children from an ordinary family. Therefore, he did not say anything. At this time, when he heard the cute child next to him ask, he first turned his head to look elsewhere. Seeing that there was no one else nearby, he kindly smiled and said, "I'm not selling. If I can catch one, I'll catch one. If I can't, it's fine. If I can catch a lot, I'll go back and fry it. If I can't, I'll make soup." "Oh, how many people are there in Grandpa's family?" As little Bei spoke, she took out a small notebook and a pencil from her bag. She crookedly wrote a few words that no one else could understand. Only she could understand them. "Including me, there are 9 people in total. There is my wife, 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-law, 2 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. My granddaughter is 2 years older than you. She's 10 years older." The old man did not care why the little girl next to him was asking. He casually told her about his family. 10 years old doesn't mean that he's older than me by 2 years. I'm only 6 years old, so he's older than me by 3 years. I'm older, hee. Xiaobei wrote a few more words in his notebook before asking, "Then does the old grandpa have enough money at home? Can he eat meat for every meal? How much oil do you use every time you cook?" This time the old man was shocked. He was shocked by the little girl's question. He was also shocked by the little girl's adult-like appearance. He asked in return, "Why are you asking this?" "I'm doing research. It's the holidays, so I came out to stay for a month. When I go back, if someone asks, I want to talk about what I did. How good is the life of the commoners? How good is it? How many families can't eat meat?" Little Bei tried her best to imitate the way adults spoke. She spoke too fast and could not keep up with her train of thought. Naturally, she was a little lacking in vocabulary. The old man stared blankly for a moment. He could hear something different from the words of the little girl beside him. That was the word common people. Normally, when people spoke, they wouldn't say common people when talking about themselves, unless this little girl often heard such words and learned them. In other words, she was born in an official's family. The old man could not help but turn his head to look in another direction. He did not believe that the child of an official's family would come out to play without an adult. It was not like they were commoners like him. A child could run around in the village. With this look, he really saw something different. On the road behind them, at a place that was neither far nor near, there was a peddler carrying a pole and selling goods. Around the peddler stood a few people who seemed to want to buy something. There were adults and children. The children were all in their teens. If there were only adults, it would not be a big deal. However, those children were not seen in the village before. It should have looked natural, but instead it looked unnatural. The old man turned his head and looked at the little girl next to him. He asked, "Then the people behind you are protecting you?" Ah. No, the adults are not protecting us, and the little ones are not guards who have been trained for us since we were young. Little Bei first let out a cry of surprise. Then she repeatedly waved her hands and explained very clearly, "Yes, I don't think so either." The old man nodded in agreement. Little Bei revealed a happy expression. Little Yuan, who was beside her, stopped flipping through the book and looked up at Little Bei. He sighed helplessly. This stupid future wife of his always thought that she was very smart. How worrying. The old man guessed the little girl's identity. The old man could roughly guess the identity of the little girl beside her, but he didn't expose her. He began to answer the previous question. "There's only one person in my family. The 3 kids are all studying in school. My eldest grandson is okay, but my second grandson is stupid. He can't learn and always ranks at the back of the line during the exam. The best one is the youngest girl. She has been the first 4 times in a row. Just the prizes she has won are not few. Look at this fishing rod of mine. It was exchanged with her points. If you want to eat meat for every meal, you have to see what kind of meat you eat. If you can't afford to eat beef or mutton, you can change it to pork or chicken. You will get sick of it if you eat it all the time. It's fine to have meat once a day. Save more money for my grandson's wife when he grows up. We don't lack oil either. Meat oil and vegetable oil are placed there. You can eat whatever you want. Clothes. Slow down, slow down. I can't remember. Little Yuan, come here. Little Bei's hand speed obviously could not keep up with the old man's speaking speed. She was so anxious that she broke out in a sweat. In the end, she simply gave up and waved at Little Yuan. Little Yuan also had her own matters to attend to. She pretended not to hear, and continued reading. Big brother Yuan, I can't remember. Little Bei had no choice but to act coquettishly. She realized that recently, her authority seemed to have been challenged. The words she said were not very useful anymore. Perhaps it was because the older Little Yuan was no longer afraid of tripping wires. This was a problem. As expected, Little Yuan liked this. She closed the book, squatted beside Little Bei, and pretended to listen. Little Bei smiled contentedly. The old man also smiled benevolently. He could see that this boy and girl were not from the same family. They did not look alike, and the little girl did not address him as an elder brother. He did not need to think too much to know that this pair was arranged by the two families. He gave his blessing to the two children in his heart. Growing up together was much better than getting married without knowing what the other party looked like when they grew up. Following that, the old man continued, the clothes at home are bought and made by ourselves. Although the clothes in the ready-made clothes shop are not expensive, it is still not as fitting as the clothes made at home. The family rears 12 pigs and more than 60 chickens. The eldest son works in the capital as a servant in the Ministry of Works and earns quite a lot. The second son is close to home and is a small official in the county. Nowadays, the treatment of officials is better, especially when they are close to the capital. During the holidays, they can get a lot of things and the salary given is also more. Is it more than Sanshui County? Little Bei interrupted and asked. Hee little girl, Sanshui County is not comparable to other places. That place gives more things, and the salary is also not small. I heard that once you leave that position, you will be given a lot of money. The old man looked in the direction of Sanshui County, and his words were full of envy. Yes. Once you leave Sanshui County, you will receive a large sum of money, enough to spend for a lifetime. If you do better as an official, you may not be able to spend it for several lifetimes. Being an official in Sanshui County is not easy. Your attitude has to be dignified, and your ability. That is called being upright. Little Yuan corrected at the side. All right, Little Yuan, please correct your attitude first. Old Grandpa, I also said that your ability is also very great. Old Grandpa, please continue. Little Bei blushed and glared at Little Yuan again. The old man finally laughed. Ha. All right, I will continue. The children at home have things to do, and the life at home is good. Although it is not as good as the rich, there is no need to worry about food, clothing, and accommodation. Even if there is a disaster, there is no need to worry. That is good. Little Yuan, write it down. The people are living very well. Old Grandpa, what about the land? Little Bei finally returned to normal and asked again. Land? Naturally, there is no space for farming. It is sold. It is sold to Boss Fong in the county. He bought a lot of land in the village and connected them together. During the farming season, he can help out and earn a lot of money, the old man said casually. Little Bei nodded. That is great. He can earn more money. When your grandson grows up, he will also earn a lot of money. Then he can build a house and get married. There is no need for them to earn. When they are of age, the family will prepare it for them. The old man also thought of the future, and the smile on his face became wider. Ah, why do the family have to prepare it for them? Isn't it better to let them earn it themselves? Isn't that right, Little Yuan? When we grow up, I will also earn more money, and you will also earn more money. With the two of us together, we will be like brother and sister, covering Chang'an for 10 consecutive days. Little Bei was very puzzled. He blinked and looked at Little Yuan. Didn't you say that you won't marry me? Little Yuan asked. All right. Then there is nothing for you to do. Little Bei then remembered that he had to use this to threaten little Yuan. The old man listened to the two children's words and laughed. As he laughed, he suddenly realized something and stood up in shock. He sized up Little Bei and the others and no longer looked as calm as before. He asked with a trembling voice, You are the children of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County? Then the adults and children on the road are the vigorous seedling protection team? You are Zhang Xiaobei, and you are Wang Xiaoyuan? Ah, old grandpa, do you know how to calculate? Little Bei was even more shocked than the old man. He opened his big cute eyes and looked at the old man, hoping to confirm his guess. Little Yuan covered his face with both hands, looking like he did not dare to look at anyone. Don't you know what you just said? I really can't marry you. You are too stupid. Don't you dare. When I go back, I will tell my brother and sister that you bullied me. Little Bei was unwilling. Listening to the words of the two, the old man took a few deep breaths, gritted his teeth and sat down again. He had already confirmed the identity of the children next to him. No wonder they spoke differently from children of the same age. They were the children of the Zhang family and Wang family. How could ordinary people compare with them? Little Hai stopped working on his formula at this time. He stood up and rubbed his feet on the ground to erase the traces of calculation just now. He asked the old man, Old Grandpa, are you going to talk about the local officials? The old man was stunned at first, then understood. He waved his hand and said, No, although the local officials are not as good as those in Sanshui County, they are not bad. They are close to the capital. The officials dare not do anything wrong, let alone bully us. Oh, they bully the people. The old man did not feel that Little Hai's question was abrupt. The identity of the 9 children of the Zhang family and Wang family had long been spread among the people. Although they were young, their authority was not bad at all. It was said that in the whole Tang Empire, except for the current emperor, there was no official that they could not impeach. Regardless of right or wrong, even if they were innocent, they had to make some mistakes. Fortunately, the 9 children did not make any mistakes when they impeached people. Although they were 9 children, for the officials of the Tang Empire, they were like the king of hell. Wherever they went, it was not an exaggeration to say that they turned the world upside down. You really didn't? Xiaobei asked again. No, even if there are some small mistakes, it doesn't matter. If this is really done, who knows what will happen next? The old man was scared now. He was really afraid that these children would make trouble for Wanyan County again. We are not impeaching. We are just here to play. We are really not impeaching. Old Grandpa, don't worry. Little Bei also knew the power of the 9 of them. Just like what his brother said, no matter where the 9 of them went, they would immediately be regarded as a bomb with great power. The old man let out a long breath and continued to talk to Little Bei about life, but he was no longer as casual as before. That night, Little Bei and the others sent a telegram to the capital. It was a very long telegram, and it was not as concise as other people's telegrams. The person who sent them the telegram even copied their spoken language. The 9 children thought that this was a very ordinary telegram, but they had no idea that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been worrying for half a night. Little Bei and the others sent a telegram. Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao after dinner, I know. This is troublesome. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. That's right. The annexation of land is getting more and more intense. This was originally a situation, but now it is different from history. Everything is covered up by the increasing prosperity of the common people. When the common people can obtain survival resources from other sources, the importance of land has weakened. This is not a good sign. Wang Wan was worried. She did not want the land of the Great Tang to become like this, but she was powerless to stop it. Not even Zhang Xiaobao's status and administration could suppress it. Zhang Xiaobao's brow furrowed, then relaxed, furrowed again, and relaxed again. In the end he calmed down. In truth, this is an inevitable trend. Under the rules of profit, concentrating resources will always be more in line with the progress of the times than spreading them out. What I'm worried about now is that once the annexation of land is completed and the land is concentrated in the hands of a few people, will the ratio of grain crops to cash crops become unreasonable? If oil becomes expensive, everyone will plant soybeans and rapeseed. Then who will plant rice and wheat? Once the same things are planted, the merchants will make more money, and the common people will find that the things they need are more expensive. Then the currency of the Great Tang will depreciate. Grain will become expensive, and so will feed. As the cost increases, the price of meat will also increase. Troublesome, truly troublesome. Zhang Xiaobao did not look at the issue of land annexation alone. In fact, what he was afraid of was not the concentration of land and a portion of people controlling the price of grain in the Great Tang. What he was afraid of was the conflict during the planting process. If the things planted did not change, only the price would be controlled. It was very simple. He would increase the agricultural tax and use this money to subsidize the common people. He would increase the tax at the planting stage and the first stage of the selling stage, and subsidize the sales stage. This way, the price would be stable. He was worried that everyone would find something profitable at the same time and plant it together. This would lead to a problem of polarization. Some would lose money, while others would lose money. Wang Wan stood up, found a tea set, and began to brew kung fu tea. As she brewed, she asked, "Then do you have any ideas?" "It's not that I have any ideas, but whether this idea can be carried out well. I'm afraid that there will be policies from above and countermeasures from below." Zhang Xiaobao had many ideas. He knew that not only him, but also him and Wang Wan back then. Any person with some basic skills would be able to think of a solution, but who would carry it out was the most important. Wang Wan's hands were still as gentle as ever. She looked up at Zhang Xiaobao and said with a smile, "Xiaobao, don't forget that this is the era of the empire. Let's not talk about the disadvantages of the era of the empire first. Let's talk about the benefits. If the emperor wants his subject to die, the subject has no choice but to die. Whoever doesn't carry it out will die." Yes, the era of the empire. This is the first time I've found that the era of the empire is good. Then it's easy to do. One is to increase the speed of information transmission. This can be done through newspapers. Now that there are telegrams, news can be transmitted to various places at any time. The other is scientific planning. Let the local government of each place be in charge. They have to immediately transmit the local land planting situation to the capital. Then, a department in the capital will arrange what to plant in each place. That's enough. Zhang Xiaobao's eyes stared at Wang Wan's movements. That beautiful posture made Zhang Xiaobao feel that drinking tea was no longer important. Perhaps it was better to run to the bed and do something first. After busying for a while, Wang Wan finally steeped the tea leaves. The tea leaves were also washed. Then Zhang Xiaobao said, "Coordination is fine. Unified arrangements are also fine. But is the evaluation of the officials linked to the economy or the degree to which they carry out orders? If it's linked to the degree to which they carry out orders, then many places can clearly increase their income by planting other crops, but they have to follow the rules of the capital and only plant food crops. Then the income will decrease. If it's linked to the economy, what do you think the officials will do? There are so many problems. The relationship between politics and economy has to be considered. Human nature. I've never believed in communism. What was it called at that time? Oh, right, it was called distribution according to needs. I don't understand how it can be distributed according to needs. Living materials can be distributed according to needs. Can men and women be distributed according to needs? Can love also be distributed according to needs? Can anyone casually like a member of the opposite sex? There's no need to choose. When a male sees a female, there's no difference in the spiritual realm. Then, in the entire world, only one person's thoughts are enough. The others don't need to have personalities and thoughts. If there are interests, there will be disputes. So, I can't solve this problem. If I have to say a solution, it's that long separation leads to union. Who said this sentence? It's really too classic. Zhang Xiaobao conducted a psychological analysis of himself, but in the end he couldn't do anything. Wang Wan poured the tea, smiled sweetly at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "You're talking about a novel author, the one who wrote the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Do you feel very moved that an author has such a deep philosophical realm?" Yes, it's true. There's also a sentence called, "Knowing the affairs of the world is knowledge." Practicing human nature is writing. This is also not bad. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in agreement. That's practicing human nature is writing. I still think practicing human nature is better. Ping Sui can match. You mean you won't continue to care about it? You want to go with the flow? Wang Wan pushed the tea bowl in front of Zhang Xiaobao and asked. Who said that? At least I can influence it. In fact, everything has to be done according to the law of development. Even if what we estimate happens, how can we know that it will be wrong in the long run? Maybe the development will be even more powerful. Zhang Xiaobao held the tea bowl with both hands, but he didn't drink. His eyes were looking in a direction, and he said in a daze. Wang Wanblue took a small sip and asked, Then what do you have in mind? It's very simple. Improve productivity, which is production technology. If 1 mu of land can produce 1 million caddies of grain a year, then it's not a problem to plant anything else. If 1 mu of land can produce 10 million caddies of cotton, do you think there will be a problem of not being able to sell it? The rest of the land will naturally become a garden. Right now we can't reach the level I said, but I can expand. The place we are in is called the Eurasian continent. Do you know how big it is? Let's occupy it all. And when the time comes, we can plant as much as we can. I don't believe there will be a lack of food crops. Zhang Xiaobao thought about it, and in the end he thought of occupying the other places. Wang Wan felt that the temperature of the tea bowl was about right, so she drank it in one gulp and said, I understand. What you need to do now is to keep expanding. After all, the population of the Tang Empire is not as big as ours. If we really expand, there will be a situation where there is land but not enough people. What about in the future? In the future? Do I have to care for 10,000 years? As long as I'm alive, I will care about this. In the future, if people can live on the sun, then I won't have to worry about it. While there are no more problems on the other places on Earth, we will occupy them. This will save us the trouble of using them as raw material bases. We can directly own them without political or military means. Then we will wait for the whole world to be unified, then split into smaller countries. We will continue to fight and unite again. If you throw an atomic bomb at me, I will throw a hydrogen bomb at you. In the end, the world will be gone, and new life will begin. Zhang Xiaobao also drank the tea in one gulp, and pushed the tea bowl back to Wang Wan. Wang Wan poured another 2 bowls. Xiaobao, are you telling me a science fiction story? I am asking what should we do now? Should we stop the annexation of the land, or find another way out? Oh okay, I will say. What we need to do now is to transfer the possible losses to other countries, starting with Japan. Zhang Xiaobao said seriously. Starting with Japan, it really started with Japan. After Takeshita Junichiro sent out the telegram, it did not take long for him to get a good night's sleep. At noon the next day, he received a telegram from the coastal area, from the Four Seas Academy's Department of Japanese International Students. Now Japan no longer dared to not make decisions, and the power continued to be in the hands of a certain person. Takeshita Junichiro had more power in his hands, but he definitely could not easily decide the strategy of the entire Japan. This was because the people in Japan had already discovered that no one could win when facing Zhang Xiaobao. The content of the telegram was very simple. After it was translated with a code, it supported Takeshita Junichiro's judgment and planned to find a way to rent steam engine ships and gunboats, forming a military advantage over the people of Silla at sea. At the same time, they could also avoid the pirates that appeared out of nowhere. Takeshita Junichiro was very happy when he saw it, but he was also a little depressed because his second proposal was not approved. His second proposal was to create a few tourist attractions in Japan, and then send ships to pick up people from Great Tang who were willing to go there. The first few trips would be free, and the travel fees would be waived. After arriving in Japan, all other expenses would also be waived. When they left, they would even receive a precious gift. After a few batches of people went there, they believed that with their publicity, more people would be willing to travel to Japan in the future. At that time, they would start to charge a small fee and gradually increase it. Not only would it strengthen the relationship with Great Tang, but it would also increase the income of Japan. In the end, this proposal was rejected. The reason for the rejection was that Great Tang already had many good tourist attractions. The people of Great Tang had not even finished touring the Great Tang's territory, so how could they go to Japan? What if there was danger? This bunch of short-sighted people, what do they know? Can't they go to Japan if they don't finish touring the Great Tang's territory? The people from Jiangnandong Province and Shanandong Province would take much less time to reach Japan than the people from Ryangja Province? Let's see what you all say when a large number of tourist groups start to appear in Silla. Takeshita Junichiro hurried to his place with the letter in his hand. After closing the door and windows, he cursed angrily. Before Takeshita Junichiro could think of a way to convince the people from the Four Seas Academy to support his plan, knocking sounds came from the door. 3 long knocks, 2 short knocks, and 1 long knocks. It was very rhythmic. Takeshita Junichiro was happy at first. Then he straightened his clothes and changed his expression. He came to the door and asked, "Who is it?" "It's me." A familiar voice came from outside. Takeshita Junichiro felt relieved. He opened the door and saw Yamamoto and Yamamoto standing outside. He poked his head out and looked around. Seeing that no one was paying attention, he let the two in. Takeshita Junichiro had to be careful. Even if the secret signal was correct, he had to maintain sufficient vigilance. Otherwise, if he said something wrong, it would be easy for the whole of Japan to suffer. Yamamoto could understand. After sitting down, he lowered his voice and said to Takeshita Junichiro, "Takeshita-kun, Yamamoto and I both know of your plan." "Very good. It's the people from the Four Seas Academy who are scared. They don't dare to agree to 2 plans at the same time, afraid that they will fail at the same time. Yamamoto and I support you." Takeshita Junichiro quickly stood up and bowed. He said excitedly, "Then is there a way to realize the second plan? The people in the Tang Empire are very rich now, and the foundation of the Tang Empire is very advanced. What if there are technicians among the tourists who feel that our place is better and decide to stay?" Yamamoto and Yamamoto had come today for another matter. Their support for Takeshita Junichiro was just lip service. However, after hearing Takeshita Junichiro's words, they realized that it was really a good idea. The two of them looked at each other and nodded. Yamamoto said, "Takeshita-kun, it's as you said. Yamamoto and I will think of a way to convince our people in the Four Seas Academy. There's actually a very important matter today." Takeshita Junichiro did not interrupt. He made a gesture of listening. Chapter 9:12. There were still 10 days before the autumn imperial examination, and the number of people in the capital increased. Most of the people who did not pass the spring imperial examination did not return. They continued to stay in the capital, looking for connections and interacting with their peers. The imperial examination was not only about one's writing during the examination, but also one's reputation and the recommendations of others. Almost all the students who were going to take the examination, regardless of their own standards, had to find a place to show off their talents. They went to the restaurant to drink wine, went to the brothels to write poems for girls, and tried their best to promote themselves. There was a trick to this, and that was to gather people together. They did not care about the quality of others' writing, nor did they care about whether the opinions of others were reasonable or not. As long as there was a chance, they would praise others. Today, you flatter others, and tomorrow, others might follow suit and flatter you as well, as if they were on good terms with you. Thus, there were many poems in the capital that were unanimously praised by others. However, there were very few girls who sang them. Some girls were better than the students, and did not bother to sing them. This atmosphere had been around for a long time. In the past, the people did not have much knowledge, so when they heard others praise them, they would follow. However, it was a little different now. Those who had children at home were in schools. Most people did not know what the schools in distant places were like. Perhaps they taught the laws of the Great Tang and poetry. However, the schools around the capital rarely taught children to write poems. The schools in this area learned from the schools of Sanshui County and Bushin County. When the children entered the school, they first learned nursery rhymes. They did not need to recognize words, as long as they could memorize them. Usually, the rules of the school were written into the nursery rhymes, so that the children would have some discipline. Then they learned pinyin, which was different from the pinyin that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan learned back then. This was because the pronunciation of the words now was different from the pronunciation of the words back then. The children could not be as proficient in many languages as the two of them, so the best way was to learn Arya's pronunciation. How to pronounce Arya in Arya. The child would spell the sound accordingly. There were still 26 letters, and there was no sound that could not be spelled when combined. In this way, the teachers who used to say Arya would not object. After all, it was the Mandarin of the Tang Empire. At the same time, the learning speed was also faster. They did not need to use the pronunciation of other words when reading a word. The children spent most of their time in the early stages of school learning how to read. The efficiency was dozens of times higher than before. After learning a large number of words, the next thing they learned was to read essays. This essay was not written by a master. It was written by the children of Sanshui County's Zhangwang and Zhuangzi School. It was very simple. After 2 years, he began to read normal books such as the Book of Songs, selected literary works, and so on. He didn't have to understand the meaning, as long as he could memorize it smoothly. Then there would be a teacher, who would translate it and explain it from simple to deep. In this way, after 5 or 6 years of school, the children's appreciation level would also improve. As for grades, it was not so important. The teacher would look at each child's different personality, and which aspect of their learning was best to focus on nurturing. This was the real quality education that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan needed. As for foreign languages, there was no need for the children to learn them. That was a branch that they wanted to continue learning after they graduated from primary school. There was no need to ask all the children to be proficient in a foreign language. According to Li Longji's words after being fooled by Zhang Xiaobao, it was, in the future, wherever the sun rises, the people there must know how to speak the language of Tang. Why should the children of Tang waste time? People who learned foreign languages were also specialized in studying the history of other countries in the future. With so many children with a high level of appreciation, those students who wrote crooked poems were out of luck. It was common to hear the poems of students coming out from restaurants, tea houses, and small shops. It was also common to encounter children who pointed out how messy the poems were in front of their faces in such places. When Wang Wan, who was waiting for the fall quarter examination, found out about this situation, she smiled and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you think we should take out modern poems and let the children who have just finished primary school learn them?" Modern poems? What's wrong with that? Zhang Xiaobao was also working hard. Seeing that the exam was coming, he had to revise. Although the position of the top scorer had been confirmed, he couldn't do badly. Since it involved a lot of literature, he naturally had to have a good result. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing. When his father was the top scorer in the exam, he found someone and used a lot of conditions in exchange. However, his father's paper was not bad at all. Even if it was just based on knowledge, no one would refute it. Zhang Xiaobao was now looking at the papers of the top scorers in the entrance exam. He found a pattern in them and waited for the top scorers to become the top scorers. Wang Wan was also learning. She also wanted to see how she was. She wouldn't easily give the top scorers to Zhang Xiaobao. Although it was almost confirmed that Zhang Xiaobao was the top scorer in literature, and she was the top scorer in martial arts, she still wanted to create some trouble for Zhang Xiaobao and make Zhang Xiaobao feel pressured. Therefore, she was also reading. Looking at Zhang Xiaobao's blank expression, she said, "You don't even know modern poems. You want to be the top scorer in the exam? Wait for me to get the top scorers in both literature and martial arts. Can't you be the top scorer in the exam if you don't know modern poems? Is there such a thing in Tang now? Is there modern poems? What is modern poetry? Tell me." Zhang Xiaobao's eyes didn't leave the papers and directly replied to Wang Wan. Modern poems are poems written strictly according to the rules of poetry. It requires that there can't be any mistakes in the couplet and tautology. If tautology and tautology are tautology and tautology, you can't write tautology and tautology. For example, The first line of the 7 lines must be tautology and tautology, tautology and tautology. And that's not all. If there's no special situation, you have to follow. Zhang Xiaobao, are you listening to me? When Wang Wan was explaining to Zhang Xiaobao's head was looking at the papers bit by bit. His concentrated look made Wang Wan suspicious. Zhang Xiaobao was still nodding. Zhang Xiaobao. Ah, you say I'm listening. Zhang Xiaobao heard Wang Wan's voice become louder. He blankly raised his head and looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan gritted her teeth. Zhang Xiaobao, I remember telling you before, right? Today you say you don't know. Are you playing dumb with me? Put away your narrow-mindedness. So what if I'm wasting time? Don't tell me you think you can learn a lot in this short period of time? Wang Wan finally understood. Zhang Xiaobao was looking at the papers with all his might. Then he would not be able to look at the papers. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao playing such a trick, Wang Wan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Zhang Xiaobao, who had been seen through, put down the papers embarrassedly. He smiled at Wang Wan and said, "Modern-style poetry is just like that. It's used to raise the status of students. According to what you said, many of Li Bai's poems are not qualified. There are also Bai Juyi's and Du Fu's. How many of these poets of the Tang Dynasty wrote poems that are all in modern style? Look at Li Bai's and able to lower his brows and bow to the powerful. What kind of poem do you think that is? Was it a 7-word one or a 5-word one? I feel that many of Li Bai's poems are actually not poems or words. Oh, if there is a conclusion, I think they are words because someone composed music for them, right? But what we have now is still better than what we had back then. Back then, people would think that they could compose poems just by coming up with a few lines of words. Especially so for many writers, they had the nerve to show off their nonsensical works. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao mentioned Li Bai, so she could not use modern-style poetry to criticize Zhang Xiaobao. She had to extend the topic. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and said, "Yes, that's right. Especially many officials, they did not do their jobs well and wrote rubbish to publish and, don't talk about the officials." Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao was going to point at the officials again. She quickly stopped him and said, "You just said Li Bai. What do you think Li Bai is doing now? I haven't seen him for a while. And Wang Wei, I miss him." Li Bai? Isn't he in charge of the Ministry of Revenue? Just let him be. It's a much better position than the one he held in history, and he has real power. He should be grateful to me. Zhang Xiaobao still had some recollection of it. After saying this, he picked up the paper and continued reading. I don't know if he can write so many poems. It's hard to choose. Wang Wan shook her head. She did not understand this problem and also started to read. Li Bai was not in the capital at this time. He did not plan to take the imperial examination. If he really wanted to take the imperial examination, he would not be able to pass at all. Now he was sitting on the train. Accompanied by the rumbling sound and the shaking of the carriage, he was heading to another place. Sitting opposite him was the other person that Wang Wan mentioned, Wang Wei. The two of them received a task to patrol the river situation in several places. Recently, some places in Tang had been raining heavily, and there was no sign of it stopping. In order to urge the local authorities to do their best, and at the same time to express the importance that the emperor attached to the water conservancy project, the capital sent several teams to take a look at places not far away. The rivers in the capital were more concentrated. The two of them were now going to Hongno, a tributary of the Honglu River. Recently, there was a rumor in the capital that the officials there had embezzled the money for the water conservancy project. It was easy to get into trouble. Li Longji did not have the time to care about it, and he was afraid that other people would not be able to suppress the situation. Therefore, he sent Li Bai and Wang Wei. Li Bai was in charge of the Ministry of Revenue, and he was in charge of the land and taxes. Wang Wei was in charge of the water conservancy project, and they were in charge of the water conservancy project. However, they did not bring anyone with them. When they arrived at the place, they had to borrow people from the local government. This made the two of them slightly worried that the task would not be easy to complete. Is there anyone who wants wine? It's 5 copper coins per serving, and there are also 4 side dishes. While Li Bai and Wang Wei were sitting opposite each other and thinking about this, the person who was pushing the cart on the train came over. This train did not have a dining car, and it was too wasteful. More importantly, the train had a lot of wooden structures, so they were worried that they would catch fire. Therefore, they could only get people to push the cart to sell them. The price was not expensive, and it was the same as the ordinary snack bars in the capital and Luoyang. It was Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion. As he had taken the train at that time, the items sold on the train were very expensive. In the end, not many people bought them. Many people who were prepared to take the train bought them before boarding. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao decided to take a measure to make things convenient for the passengers. The price of the items sold on the train was not high, and it was fair. Although it was called fair, it was actually equal to the price of the capital and Luoyang. It was not really fair, but it was not bad. However, Wang Wan did not think so. She felt that before Zhang Xiaobao went abroad to develop his career, he must have been on the train and did not have enough money to buy box meals. He had the experience of going hungry and could only drink free hot water to fill his stomach. Zhang Xiaobao denied this. The truth behind the train selling goods at a flat price was buried, but the goods were not bad. Wang Wei smacked his lips and took out 5 coins from a hidden pocket in his sleeve. He stacked the coins together and did not place them one by one in front of him. He said to the seller, "Give me a serving. Do you have chess pieces? I'll buy one too." "All right, here's the wine you wanted." The seller put a wooden wine jar between the two of them and filled it up with another pot. He then took out 2 small wooden wine cups and 4 small dishes. He said, "The wine jar and wine cups are borrowed. You are not allowed to take them away. We also have chess. What kind of chess do you want?" It was the first time for Wang Wei to take a train, so he was very surprised. He looked at the seller and the wine and dishes in front of him and asked, "What if I secretly take them away? For example, what will you do with these small dishes?" The seller was stunned. He lowered his head and did not know what to say. He hesitated and did not say anything. "Just say it. We are officials of the imperial court." Li Bai also wanted to know the consequences of such a thing. Could someone check his belongings when he went out? Or send someone to watch him? When he got on the train, he and Wang Wei did not show any evidence. Therefore, no one could find them. The seller carefully looked at the two of them. For a moment, he couldn't tell whether the two of them were officials or not, but he knew that the two of them were definitely not ordinary people. The material of their clothes was better, and they looked almost the same. After thinking for a while, he finally said, "In fact, what I said just now was to remind you to take the things away. It is not that I don't want you to take them. If you don't take them, it will be difficult for me." "Ha." Li Bai and Wang Wei made a puzzled sound at the same time and looked at the seller in confusion. There was no need for the two of them to continue asking. The seller continued, "You can take a look at the wine jar and the dish. You will understand after looking at them." Li Bai pinched the edge of a dish and picked it up to look at it. Wang Wei also picked up the wine jar and looked at it. They found that there were pictures and words engraved on it. There was a picture of a train and the words "Safe Journey." They looked at each other, but still did not understand what it meant. The seller waited for the two of them to finish looking at it and said, "In fact, this is a method that someone came up with. It can make the passengers on the train spend more money." "How can we spend money? Isn't it a profit if we take it away?" Li Bai asked. "Now it is a profit because there are words and pictures on it. When you take it off the train, you can show it to others and let others know that you have been on the train. Since you have been on the train, those who have never been on the train will naturally be curious and think that you are a decent person. They will ask you how it feels to take the train. Will you tell them then?" The seller explained and asked in return. Wang Wei thought carefully and looked at Li Bai. Li Bai nodded. The two of them understood that this was an opportunity to show off. The train was only between Chang'an and Luoyang. If they took it out first, others might not know about it, but they had been on it. If someone asked about it, of course they had to tell them about it. For example, when they arrived at Hong Nong's place and an official asked them about it, they felt that it was really good. Wang Wei put down the wine jar and said, "Even so, what does it have to do with making money?" I reckon that you are just keeping your capital and won't make any profit at all. Am I right? Sir, you're absolutely right. The seller addressed the two of them according to their identities as officials. Now the wine and dishes we sell on the train are indeed kept as the capital, but that is only for a month. After the train has been running for a month, if you want to buy it when you are on the train, you will have to leave a deposit. A set costs 5 copper coins. Otherwise, you will have to change to another kind of paper without words and pictures. If 2 people take the same train, one of them leaves a deposit and takes the thing away, while the other is reluctant and doesn't take it away. Both of them are from the same village. When they go back and brag that they have been on the train, others will naturally believe them. There is no coercion. If you want to take it, take it. If you don't want to take it, forget it. If you don't want to spend the money, you will not take more money. Don't you think so? The seller continued to introduce the business idea. Wang Wei and Li Bai nodded. Indeed, the two of them admitted that this method was really too good. When bragging, one should at least take out something decent. I wonder who came up with this idea? Li Bai asked curiously. Wang Wei thought for a while and asked, could it be the idea of Zhang Jidushi? I guess only they would do this kind of thing. Wang Wei, who had a good understanding of Zhang Xiaobao, didn't believe that such a method was something that an ordinary person could come up with. It was too bizarre. This was a special method of trading, and according to Zhang Xiaobao, it was called a marketing strategy. The seller nodded at first, then shook his head and said, it's not young Master Zhang's idea. Young Master Zhang is so busy, he doesn't have time to care about this. Besides, this new idea was just started today. Someone suggested it yesterday. In fact, this method was thought of by Xiaobei of the Zhang family. Yesterday, they took the train for a while. Today they went back. It seems that they are just sitting for fun. Yesterday, when they were on the train, they told the person on our train. So we immediately asked someone to make a batch. Little Miss Xiaobei? Who? Oh. Xiaobei Zhang Xiaobei? Wang Wei was stunned for a moment and guessed who it was. At first, he thought it was an adult, so he didn't expect it to be a child. After reading the name, he finally knew who it was and couldn't help but tremble. Li Bai's expression also changed slightly. Both he and Wang Wei knew Xiaobei's lethality. That child would rush to Hanyuan Palace Hall whenever the emperor and the ministers had important matters to discuss in the morning court. She would rush there twice, and 2 officials would be in trouble. She was clearly an official killer. No one dared to impeach her. She is really amazing, Wang Wei said again. What about chess? Is it free now? Li Bai looked at the cart. No, it is rented. There are Go, Chinese chess and Gamoku. Even if you want to play Monopoly, there are also simple ones. The seller replied. Give me a set of Chinese chess. 1 copper coin, 3 copper coins as deposit. Here is a printed chess record. Do you want it? 20 copper coins, 1 copy. The seller took out the Chinese chess, which was wooden and not worth 3 copper coins at all. He didn't forget to promote the chess record. 1 more serving of wine and dishes, please. I want a different dish. Wang Wei saw that there were more than 4 kinds of dishes in the cart, so he ordered another serving and took out the money to give to the seller. After the seller left, Wang Wei poured wine for Li Bai and said, Brother Tai Bai, don't you think that the Zhang family and the Wang family are too amazing? How old is Xiaobei? She can think of such an amazing idea. Ah. I admire them, I really admire them. Li Bai picked up the wine cup and nodded. It is extraordinary. After we finish eating, don't forget to take the food. If someone asks about it when we get there, we can leave it as a souvenir. Speaking of which, the train is really better than the carriage. It is faster, not just a little bit faster. If we take the carriage, it will take us 3 days to get there. And that is under the condition that the road is easy to walk on. Wang Wei felt the comfort of the train. He drank a cup of wine and took a bite of the food. He tasted it carefully and said, I heard that His Majesty is going to build railways in all places of the Tang Empire. It will be difficult for him to send people away. Is it possible that he won't allow them to take the train? It may be a pleasure to wait all the way to Lingnan. It is very difficult to die on the way. Unfortunately, if we go to Hongnong, we won't be able to watch this year's autumn imperial examination. This year, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wang will take part in it. I can only come back and hear about it or ask someone to send a telegram. After all, it is better to see it with your own eyes. Li Bai felt uncomfortable when he thought of the imperial examination. He didn't take part in it, but Wang Wei did. He was even a jinshi. He always felt that there was a difference between their identities. When he thought of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan taking part in it, he said, their positions have been decided. So what if I don't watch it? If I watch it, they won't be the top scorer. One will be the scholar, and the other will be the martial scholar. You can't say that. It is not wrong to say that it has been decided. But if it hasn't been decided, will they not be the top scorer if they take part in it? The purpose of the imperial examination is to select talents to govern the country. Who dares to say that they are better than them in this aspect? Wang Wei used a different way of thinking. He picked up the wine jar and poured wine for Li Bai again. Looking at the trees outside the window, he didn't say anything for a while. Li Bai also drank wine silently. He drank half a jar. Because it was white wine, although Li Bai always said that he drank a lot, he was also muddle-headed when he drank white wine. Therefore, both of them were slightly drunk. After drinking wine, Li Bai felt comfortable and relaxed. He asked Wang Wei, Brother Majia, why do I always feel that something is wrong with Hongnong? Is it because you are too happy to take the train? Wang Wei waved his hand and said, I also feel that something is wrong. There must be something wrong there. Otherwise, the two of us wouldn't be sent there at the same time. Maybe there will be a group of people there to be dealt with. Nowadays, the officials want to take risks when they have the chance. They don't care about the lives of the people. Wang Wei's feeling was similar to Li Bai's. At the same time, he was very dissatisfied with some of the officials there. Of course, he had not seen the officials at the time of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. If he had seen them, he would find that the officials of the Tang Empire were not bad. They could even be called excellent. At least they had a respectful heart. This was also the reason why Zhang Xiaobao tried his best to give others chances when he was in Sanshui County. The officials he met before were still afraid. They knew that they were wrong and took risks when they did things. They were not like the officials at the time of Wang Wan and him. They didn't even care about their face. They knew that they would harm the people, but they still did it calmly. Li Bai saw that Wang Wei was also worried. He put the food on his plate and didn't eat it. He frowned and asked, Brother Majia, if that kind of thing really happens, what should we do? We don't have anyone around us who can help us. The imperial court sent us here, but they don't give us any help. Aren't they afraid that something will happen to us? Let's take one step at a time. When the time comes, we will go to Hongnong to find help. I hope everything will go well. I think it's better for us to come here in vain. If something really happens, it may be over there. Under the natural disaster, it's difficult to handle it. I don't know how many people will suffer. Zhang Xiaobao is not willing to organize the relief in person now. It's going to be difficult. Wang Wei also stopped eating. He was like Li Bai. As scholars, he hated evil as if it was an enemy. The two of them were silent for a while. Only the rumbling sound of the train was in their ears, but it made them feel that the sound was so far away. It was so unreal. Everything was like a dream. Taking such a fast train, they were going to a place where there might be a vast ocean. The progress of technology and the hardship of the people formed a strong contrast. Thinking about it, the speed of the train gradually slowed down. Then it stopped at the platform. Some people got off and some people got on. After a while, it rumbled again and gradually accelerated away. Li Bai came back to his senses. Looking at the trees that began to move backward again, he said, Is it true that human beings can't go against the heavens? What about when Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family went to Luzhou? What about when they broke the dam of the Yangtze River in Xuzhou? If the heavens want to punish the people of Luzhou, they can say that they have been going against the heavens. Didn't they come here? You still want to compete with them? Didn't you see the children in their family? How old were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan at that time? They were already able to help distribute supplies. Look at Xiaobei and the others now. They are all like smart people. They can't be compared with them at all. If you really want to compete, go to Xinlua. I'll give you a few thousand soldiers. Let's see if you can scare them. I guess when Xinlua hears that you are leading the army, their general will be very happy. Wang Wei did not give Li Bai any face at all. His words made Li Bai's face turn red. The two of them continued to eat. When they finished all the wine, they bought another jar and refilled the wine cups. Li Bai suddenly asked, "If the two of us don't go there, but send Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to Hongnong, and no one follows them, will they be able to do it? What do you think? Is there a need to send the two of them? Just send Xiaobei and the others there. Even if Hongnong is fine, the local officials will be scared out of their wits. I'm asking you to send them there before they become famous." Li Bai set up a problem. Isn't it the same? Back then, they were not famous in Sword University. They learned extraordinary skills from the experts at home. It makes sense. If they go to Hongnong, what will they do? Come on, think about it. Maybe there's a way. As Wang Wei spoke, he suddenly had a new idea. He no longer put himself in the situation to think about the problem. Li Bai's eyes also lit up. He thought about it while eating. After a while he said, "I guess they will use money to bribe people. When they have no money, they will find a way to make money first. Brother Majia, do you know how to make money? I don't have much money with me." Wang Wei looked at Li Bai and nodded. Indeed, they may really do that. When we get there, we can send a telegram to Beijing to ask. I just don't understand why they don't send people to us. ******** Wang Wei and Li Bai did not understand on the train, but Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan figured it out. The two of them chatted while learning. When they mentioned Li Bai, they asked someone to send a telegram to ask. They learned that Li Bai was going to Hongnong with Wang Wei, and did not bring anyone with him. Then they had a new topic. The two of them are together. It's very interesting. I don't know how many poems they can write along the way. I hope the bumpy train will not have too much impact on them. Zhang Xiaobao held a pen in his hand and said while practicing calligraphy. What bumpy? Bumpy is relative. I don't think they will feel bumpy. Compared to riding a carriage, riding a train is much more comfortable, unless they have also been to our place and experienced the bumpy train. Wang Wan stopped reading now. She took out the military map and checked the situation of various places on it. Although she said that she wanted to compete with Zhang Xiaobao for the top scorer, Wang Wan knew that even if Zhang Xiaobao did not have his current status, she would not be able to get the top scorer if she took the exam with him. The current national situation was how to develop productivity and improve production technology. In this aspect, Zhang Xiaobao was better than her. Therefore, it was better to get the top scorer in martial arts. At that time, the two of them would be the top scorer in both civil and martial arts, and their statuses would be different. It would be more convenient for them to do things in the future. Therefore, she opened the military map. The so-called top scorer in martial arts was not based on who could fight. Fighting ability was one aspect. Now that there were guns, there was no need to look at how many people a general could defeat. Instead, it was based on accuracy. More importantly, the general's ability to command. If they were to compete, they would have to win beautifully. After looking at the map for a while, Wang Wan picked up a pen and wrote a few notes in the book beside her. Then she said, "What I am puzzled about is that since the imperial court sent the two of them, why didn't they send people? If the local officials are working together to do bad things, how are they going to investigate without manpower? To think that you are an official, how are they going to investigate without manpower? Of course, they will use money to bribe them. Li Longji definitely wants to see their abilities." Zhang Xiaobao held his breath and finished writing a word. He continued to write the next word. Wang Wan glared at Zhang Xiaobao in dissatisfaction. What I want to know is Li Longji's goal. If I want to see their abilities, I won't look at them like this. If this is really the case, this is the worst aspect. Then tell me what's going on. I think Li Longji wants to see the attitude of the local officials towards the people sent by the higher-ups. If they don't get any useful information after arriving at Hongnong, what do you think Li Longji will think? As long as the two of them send a telegram to Li Longji about what happened in Hongnong, Li Longji will understand that the local officials don't care about the imperial court. Or maybe the local officials really did something bad and are afraid of being investigated. If you don't believe me, just watch. If Li Bai and the two of them really don't get anything and the local defense is watertight, then the officials in Hongnong will be finished. No one likes things that can't be controlled. Wang Wan analyzed Zhang Xiaobao. Since Zhang Xiaobao said that she was an official, she had to consider the thoughts of an official. Zhang Xiaobao didn't say anything directly and continued to write. When he finished writing and reached for another piece of paper, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly put down his pen and turned to look at Wang Wan. I understand. That damned Li Longji. He's planning to do something to us. What plans do we have for him to make? Don't tell me he's not going to let us take the imperial examinations? That's good. Let's go back to the northeast. It'll be so comfortable there. We can even build snowmen in the winter. Wang Wan didn't guess the reason this time, and she didn't know where Zhang Xiaobao came to this conclusion. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't in the mood to write anymore. He called someone in and asked them to send a telegram to Xiaobei and the others to ask about their situation. Then he said to Wang Wan, "Of course we won't leave, but Xiaobei and the others are going back and forth. They're in Wanyan County, not far from Hongnong. Didn't Xiaobei and the others say that they took the train for fun yesterday? They helped the train come up with a good way to make money without forcing others to spend money. Since they can take the train for fun, it's not a big deal to go to Hongnong while they're at it. Li Longji wants to see if the officials in Hongnong cooperate. At the same time, he wants to test Li Bai and Wang Wei. I think it won't be long before Li Longji sends us a telegram and tells us that he wants Xiaobei and the others to go to Hongnong to take a look." Really? If Xiaobei and the others receive Li Longji's telegram, they'll definitely go over happily. Does Li Longji want to scheme against Xiaobei? It's so infuriating. Wang Wan said angrily, then suddenly laughed. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.